Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. How are you guys doing tonight? Hope you're doing well. Volan, yeah, I don't know how to switch back to the new intro that easy. I don't remember where I put it. I don't know how it switched in the first place. Everything about the situation is stupid. Mostly me. But yeah. So that's that. I don't know. I'll get it fixed eventually. I'll get the intro back on track eventually. We're working on it. Is my town on fire yet? No, my town is so far away from the disaster that is Minneapolis. We could check in on our family soup guy. We could see how it's going. I saw that they had even more people there tonight. That was good. Phantasmagorical. Hey, shout out to Alabama. How you doing? I have it, got the duck, but every time I'm sitting down at my computer, I'm doing something other than working on, like, resolving the intro here. Like today, I had to do real work, like real legal work, which is annoying. I had to do that. I had to work on, I only got one short video out today. It was a mess. It was a mess of a day. But I also had a meeting with YouTube to do today as well. What's up to the Good Logic Raiders? Welcome. Welcome to my man Joe. Hopefully he's doing well. I need to talk to him too, but I've been just swamped with stuff. And since I'm going to Georgia for the weekend, I'm like crunched down. So that was, that's like looming over my head here. It's a mess. Everything's a mess. Oh, and it's flipping snowing. It's snowing outside. I know, I shouldn't be surprised. I live in an Arctic tundra hellhole called Minnesota. And it's only April, but it is April. And it started snowing again. So, thank you. Bihar says the short video thumbnails are great. Look, let me go on the record with the short video thumbnails. All right. This is between me and whoever listens. I hate putting my face on the thumbnail. I hate it. I think it's a stupid trend. I want it to die in the biggest fire that could ever be imagined. I want it to be tormented forever, having to listen to Ruth Bader Ginsburg in hell next to her. I want forever that trend to go away. That being said, YouTube has algorithmic AI that detects thumbnails, and it looks for faces in thumbnails. And it is the thing that the AI for search and discovery likes right now. I don't know why, but there's a reason. There is a reason why you see like that showing up all over the place, why everybody's got like or something stupid in there. Oh, I hate them. They've got these stupid reaction faces. They've got them popping up like on tons of popular videos right now. It's because the algorithm pushes them, and we are all, at the end of the day, slaves to the algorithm, because if we want anybody to hear what we have to say, we have to bow to getting the message out. So for now, until this awful trend dies, my stupid mug will be in a bunch of thumbnails. So I apologize and I hope to spare you from seeing my face as much as possible, but until that happens, you know. Is it worth it though? Yeah. Short answer, yeah, it is. I still don't like it. Get some thick rimmed glasses and make the soy face, yeah. I didn't have a meeting with Susan. I had a meeting with my partner manager. Okay, so we have a job tonight. And that is to check out the likes on the stream to see how the likes behave. I don't know that the likes actually disappeared last night. I don't remember. I wasn't paying as much attention 2 nights ago, and the night before that, they definitely were disappearing. What are you doing in here? You get what? You don't remember what she told you to get? Under a blue chair? I don't even have a blue chair. In here? Well, this chair's black and that chair's black. Oh, in the other room? Okay. Oh, good night, guys. So anyway, we have get the blue chair. It's out in the other room. She misunderstood. Are you guys done yet? No, you're fine. Oh my goodness. So anyway, the other night likes were being removed. It was not just my stream, it was on other streams, and that might have been fixed. So looking at it, you should have seen my poor rep's eyes when I showed them. I'm like, okay, you see this video, maybe I can show you guys. I wonder if I could show you guys this. This is actually baffling to me. I'll show you some analytics. Let me get them pulled up here. Get it pulled up so you guys can actually see the important part. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Almost there. All right, let's see if we can do this. This is probably not interesting for you guys, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Okay. Can you see all the way over? Can you see this? You see this? No, we'll have to do it. I'll have to move it a little bit. All right, so here is, these are a bunch of live streams, right? Look at all that fat monetization. Yellows. Here's the Kiwi Farms live stream from a couple nights ago. Now, if you notice, I hover over, we've got 754 likes to 9 dislikes, right? We see this, okay? Now, that being said, here's what I want to point out. When we go into the analytics on it, it's the same video here, likes versus dislikes. And when I click the see more button, it'll show us the actual numbers. 1,824 likes versus 20 dislikes. It's the same video. Kiwi Farms responds with Greer's Nightmare, Twitter. And we can see, like, This is just the ratio, so this doesn't actually matter. But here's the raw number. Likes versus dislikes, 1824. Now, again, back over here, if we look at it, it's 754. So there's clearly something wrong with their system. It was removing likes, and my partner manager's eyes are like, they had no idea. They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean likes are being removed? That's weird. I'm like, no, trust me. But I didn't know how to show her because I can't show her live. I don't have a way. I'm not like screen recording the likes on my live page here. So anyway, long story short, that's kind of the assignment that I'm going to ask for y'all's help with tonight is she asked me to let her know if that was still going on after today. When I saw the like total from yesterday was actually pretty much the exact same as what was on both sections on the analytics. It makes me think that one is that they may have actually fixed it. They may have actually fixed that. So I don't know if they have or not, but I'll be watching. Plus, as always, I'll be drinking at 1,000 likes. I did finish off the bottle of Yellow Spot, so that's a sad day because that was a really, really good whiskey. And I may have a drink before that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we get into in just a little bit. All right. I got a couple chats from before the show. Today we're going to talk about that Parler versus Amazon suit. Remember that? Remember how Parler pulled a fast one, sued Amazon in state court? Amazon is being a special kind of asshole to Parler. So that we're going to do an update there. I thought it was going to be harder to track because I thought it was in state court. Oh, well, we'll figure that out in a minute. The other thing we're going to look at is Legal Eagle's ongoing Freedom of Information request, where the CIA basically says that he's a dummy in the filing in the one of the most recent filings. He got shut down by the court. The court's like, no, we're not going to go ahead and give this guy what he wants because, well, frankly, he's Devin and we're not going to do it. And then, so they said no, and he has appealed that decision. And the CIA has responded to his appeal, and it's pretty funny. That's still going on. Oh yeah, that's going to go on forever. This is why I'm not a huge fan of personally taking on legal causes or whatever, because I don't know that personalities are the best vehicles for actually doing the work. Personally, and this is one of those reasons. But of course, I don't think Devin's actually doing the work. So, is he a real lawyer? Yeah, he's licensed. He's absolutely licensed, works for a real firm and everything. I think now, though, I might be wrong, but I think now he's basically a billboard for the firm. Build up a 1.5 million follower YouTube channel, and that's pretty dang good advertisement for the law firm. And I'm guessing he's designed to bring in clients. Am I a racist? I don't know. I don't want to be thrown out of the country and killed. There was something else I was going to talk about. Probably think of it. There's some weird Vic attached drama. It's not involving Vic at all. I don't know if we'll cover it too much, but long and short, Emmett Plant tried to cozy up to someone who was someone was doing a research project basically, and looking at Kick Vic and I Stand with Vic. They're looking at both sides and trying to figure out like where the harassment is coming from and who's telling the truth. I've never talked to this person. They haven't reached out to me that I know of. I don't know anything about them. I assume they wouldn't want to talk to me based on how they were doing their research. But Emmett Plant, like, it was so funny. He's like, but I'm here to answer questions. And the person's like, who the hell are you? And he's like, I testified in the case. And they're like, are you supposed to be important? God, it was funny. I thought it was a troll. Like, I thought someone was trolling Emmett Plant, but they weren't. He's just actually that uninteresting. And then they started looking at his tweets and they're like, no, you kind of look like a complete dick who's been harassing people this whole time. He's like, I have not. It was, oh man, it was funny. That was funny. We might look at that because I chuckled. It's not in the main theme of the show, but I chuckled. And anytime I get to laugh at Emmett Plant's expense, I want to do that a little bit. I want to do that because that's the spice, right? Laughing at certain people for certain stupidity. Okay, here's a couple of super chats that came in before the show, so I want to get those right away. Wolfgang Deo with a $17.76 donation, freedom baby, says, not sure if you saw my email. I've got a whole bunch of emails to go through because I got so many resumes, and I am going to go through them. Make no mistake. That it's going to take me some time. The support was greater than anticipated, and now I have to do real work. I'm taking resumes on someone to read resume. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. It says, not sure if you saw my email. I got a new source of income, and I made it a point to express my dissatisfaction with academia in a dramatic fashion. A silent protest in a way. America. Hey, cool, man. I'm glad. I'll check for your email. Next, Funny Valentine says, I find people claiming you're still grifting on Vic hilarious, since your most viewed vids are on Lynn Wood in the election. Hashtag I stand with Lynn. Hashtag Shinlin. Also, if I may ask, are you and Medicare cool, or is there beef? Not to my knowledge. I know of no beef with Jim. Got nothing but love for the guy. Hope he is able to fend off whatever diabolical lung curse that he has. And I wish him nothing but the best. I would love very little more to happen on YouTube than to have Jim make a triumphant return. And he would be, he's not looking as far as I know, but he would be welcome to come on this show anytime. I like him. So, but no, there's no beef that I'm aware of. What am I taking resumes for, Crusader Saracen? An editor who will be clipping a whole bunch of stuff out of some live streams in the near future. And I've gotten a bunch of resumes for that. But as I haven't picked anybody, I guess they're still open, I guess. But yeah. And I've gotten some, I've skimmed through a couple of them. I've gotten some very, very compelling resumes. And some really talented looking people. So like I said, as I get through those, I'll be trying to hook up with people to do interviews and see, most importantly, if you can tolerate working with me. There's a long list of reasons I tend to work alone. But anyway. Oh, thank you, Biden, for doing that. But that being said, that'll come up at some point. We'll get around to it. James Karg says, hoping this comes in handy for you or the causes you support, good sir. Frankly, feeling disheartened that things are falling apart. Peak downcast hit hearing a guy was fired from his political post for speaking in favor of due process. What even? Yeah. We're in a real hotbed. Jacob Damstra, I see you're trying to send some messages. It looks like YouTube's probably censoring them. Go ahead and tag me. and I will I'll read your message. YouTube's being a little bit of a prick lately with censorship. Oh, that was interesting. I got some indication because in light of people getting channel struck lately, like my man Doug, like my man Q, like my alternate channel, getting channel strikes over these political topics. Apparently, shockingly, YouTube has been getting quite a bit of feedback. Quite a bit of feedback from creators that they're not really a fan of basically full-on censorship and the threats of losing your livelihood based on wrongthink. And so there's maybe some policy retools in the work. Hopefully that's true. It would be really nice to get some freedom back in what we say. But I think I hope what that comes with is some second chances for some people who I think really got a bad end on that policy, namely Doug, for example. But yeah, I mean, Q still has a channel at least. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But James, thank you so much. Hey, don't be too disheartened. Look, the world has been around for a while, and it's been through some hell over and over and over again. And people have lived through times where the outside world was kind of going well, but their inside world was kind of a mess. And then people have been through times where the outside world was kind of a mess and their inside world was going just fine. And then people have been through both have been good, both have been bad. When the outside world's a mess, no matter what's going on, work on your inside world, man. Work on you, focus where you can, keep yourself healthy, work on finding joy, not happiness, a little bit different, but work on finding joy in what you do and improvements to your own life. Find the differences you can make, where you can make them, and work on those. The world will work itself out for better or worse, and usually not many of us are able to individually influence it. There may come a time where like group action will help, and you can look for that, but if you're constantly worrying about things you can't control, you're gonna really get into a place of darkness. And I advise people to, take control of those things that you got and work on places where you can make improvements, change, and better quality for yourself. That's my personal thing. And the bigger message of that is if you want to influence the world at large, focus on influencing your immediate circle. Do it well, do it faithfully, and then your influence will grow. That's my personal thing, but I hope things turn around for you, buddy. Don't, like I said, try not to be discouraged. There's a book. It's a long book, and one of a very frequent phrase in that book in times of great discouragement is "do not be discouraged." It's in there a lot. So I'm not going to push like religious beliefs on anybody, but there's a reason that message of non-discouragement is resonates throughout history. Let's see. Billy the Kid Lawrence says, "You're succeeding in your goal, by the way. I have at least 6 Drexel streams to watch and a ton of other streams to catch up on. Keep it up, my good sir." By the way, I need to offer a huge thank you and shout out to Drexel. I was supposed to go on his show tonight to record tonight, and I had completely forgotten that I had agreed to do that tonight, and I was just not ready to do it. So instead, I'm recording with him tomorrow, and he made that work in his schedule. So that was a big bro move. I felt like a complete jerk asking if we could move it, but he was cool with it. He's like, yeah, of course, as he is, right? Like that's the way Drex is. But anyway, so that's a huge shout out. So I'll be showing up on MGTOWN Podcast sometime very, very soon. We'll be recording it tomorrow night. I don't know exactly when those go live, but probably the next one that's going to go out. So I'll be on there. And that was very cool of him, and I'm really looking forward to the show. If I would have done it today, it wasn't going to work out time-wise, but two, it would have been a mess. we'll put it that way. Next, we've got William Smith says, I'm going to Taco Bell. Anybody want anything? Does anybody want things from Taco Bell, or do you end up getting things from Taco Bell? I feel like that's how that works out. It's hard not to be discouraged with all the racists and brutality against grain. Oh, I'm going to clip out. Actually, I think Buttworld's man on Twitter actually already clipped out the segments with my favorite rent-a-thought from Minneapolis. I've got to show Drexel this girl, because she is hilarious. I'm talking, of course, of the girl who said buildings have insurance, but our lives don't. I'm talking, of course, about her from yesterday's stream, and I've got to send Drexel on a mission. Oh God. Whew. Oh God. That was like the funniest. That was last night. During that segment was some of the most fun I've had on a live stream. Like the entire time I've done it. It's a standout for me. It's a standout. That was too much funny in one place. I think I'm still recovering from it today. I just like sometimes beasts in the wild act in the way, and nature is the funniest it can be. And the wonderful ladies of Brooklyn Center last night, they came out and they served up comedy in droves. Who's butt on Twitter? It's Buttworld's man on Twitter. I retweeted it. So if you're on Twitter, you can find one of my recent tweets. He's got the clips, so you can go to my timeline and find it through there. So, Sheldon Hall says, Nick, could you give a shout out to Indian Ranch in Webster, Massachusetts? They are looking for line cooks. Maybe some viewers would like a job at an awesome restaurant. Yeah. Okay. Indian Ranch in Webster, Massachusetts. Looking for line cooks. If anybody's looking to do some cooking on a line at an awesome restaurant, check it out. I guess I've never been there. So there you go. Viden the Cold One, you probably missed the post to my show on Twitter. No, I didn't post it on Twitter, did I? I posted it everywhere else, I think. Let me check. I think I forgot to post it. I did. I posted it on all the other platforms. Let me throw that. Whoops. Oops. Forgot to post this. Let's see. Right now. Live. Tweet. That's always fun. Matt K says, fuck Twitter. I agree. But unfortunately, it's still my biggest text-based social media platform. Annoying. Very annoying. Okay. Last housekeeping things. Of course, this show is brought to you by my locals page, ricadalaw.locals.com. If you are ever wondering if there's a live stream, there's a really simple way. Follow me for free on locals. I always post it there. It's always pinned through the show. And if you ever want a link before I get it uploaded to the archive channel, you can follow the link that's up on Locals to the unlisted streams while they're up. That is there on Locals. It is free to follow. If you just want to make sure you always have a notification for a live stream, it's there. If you want to subscribe, you can. There's fun content on there, and there's more on the way. But that's there as well, and I'll let you make that decision. No pressure to do that at all. It is the alternative to Patreon and Subscribestar, and that's where I plan on posting all exclusive content in the future here. So check that out if you want. You also get access to the Discord if you do subscribe through Locals. Speaking of which, to the Discord members, there is Live Chat Wednesday tomorrow. That is on. There will be Live Chat Wednesday, so make sure you join me for that. What else? Oh, yeah, you can also check out all my short video content on Odyssey. The long form content, these live streams, is not actually syncing over to Odyssey because I think the videos are too large or too long or something, and they are not syncing them. The only live streams that have synced over from the archive channel are less than an hour long. So that's that. But I do encourage people, if you're not a big fan of YouTube and its restrictions on expression, to check out your favorite creators on Odyssey. Lots of us are over there, me included, and we appreciate growing that platform and hoping to make it a viable alternative to this platform. What? Scott, stop it. You can say that all you want, but you can't spam it. It's the only rule of the channel. Don't spam. I don't think anybody's been banned from this channel. And if you have been banned, reach out to me and I'll unban you. Just don't spam, please. You get timed out. 5 minutes. That's all. That's all. Please don't spam. It's really annoying. It's the lamest form of trolling you can come up with, and it's really embarrassing for you. You can troll better than spam. So, that being said, let's move on from that. But yeah, we are looking to make Odyssey and into a viable alternative to YouTube, and I'm hoping that that Odyssey live streaming will be something I do on this channel very, very soon. So figure that out as soon as I can. Samuel says, no justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. Bro, your commentary on that video had me dying laughing. I was crying. Stop crying. I said I would super chat you in the comments for making me laugh so hard. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. Trump Willis is my name, says, hey, Nick. So I forgot to tell you, I got the Whistle Pig Piggyback 6-year rye. And FYI, there's no need to spend $200 on a bottle ever again because the Piggyback is just as amazing. Poor man whiskey for the win. Try it out. I've never seen the Piggyback. I've only seen the farm stock rye. So I'll keep a lookout for it. I'll keep a lookout for it. And someone asked me earlier if the show with Az on Thursday is still on. Yes. I need to talk to him, but yes, it is. We're going to watch, we're going to do an EFAP of a Gail Cord Schuler live stream in which she defeats Satan with lightning bolts. Should be good. Maybe. Okay. Why isn't there a link to that site with the other links? What, the Odyssey? Because I haven't updated my link thing, and I'm working on a completely new overlay. Once I figure out exactly what I want the overlay to look like, that'll focus on Locals and Odyssey as alternatives. Oh, and finally, the Teespring store has the man shirt, as well as the Mo Rights and No Step on Sneck and all of that stuff. So, if you want those, you can check that out. I'm supposed to add a mug to the man thing. Where is that? Let me do that right now while I'm thinking about it. It'll take me just a second. And then at the same time, what? Yeah, okay. I don't need that. Can I click on the mug, please? That's that. Da, 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 da. Bunch of clicks. Clicky click. A lot of clicking. And then continue. There we go. Continue. Save. Okay. Whoever asked me for the man mug, it's there now. Sorry. I meant to do it earlier. Let's do this. That was classic. That was classic content right there. Let's do this Parler versus Amazon thing. Now, this is some legalese going on right here. This filing is 154 pages, but most of it we don't actually need. We only need the first 8. Unless you guys really want to read 154 pages of legal documents, which makes me want to die. So I don't think you want to do that, but okay. Here we go. Can you have the Mo Right shirts available in pink? I think they are, but I will fix them. Yes, Linda, I will fix them after the show. For sure. I thought they were available in pink. Do all 155. No, see, so just so you know, the reason we're not going to do them is because we've actually already read it. Chunks of it. Here's the filing of the other lawsuits. That's what they're including. That's why it's so big. The first 8 pages is actually the only part of this. So what happened in this case, if you don't remember? Parler sued Amazon because Amazon kicked Parler off the internet and basically completely killed the service. I want to remind everybody that Parler is effectively dead as far as I'm concerned. They were right. And if they didn't get their immediate injunction, it would basically kill the website. And in my opinion, it has. I don't know if anybody else has actually gone back to using Parler. I post show links on there. I honestly have no idea if people are using it in any real way. I don't see much interaction on it. Maybe you guys have a different experience than I do, but it seems kind of dead to me. It seems like, look, I mean, Parler was supposed to, like, at the rate it was growing before they got shut down, it was huge, like hugely growing. People were very excited, lots of energy, lots of interactivity. And then when it came back, it seems like it's just done. It won't let you use it. I can get on Parler. I'm there. But yeah, it's it's running slow right now. So I'm still on there. I have 2.1 thousand followers, which is nice. My post about tonight's show from 4 hours ago has 1 echo and 2 upvotes. Most of my posts have less than 5 upvotes. But to be fair, they're show announcements. Those don't get a lot of interaction. But long story short, it seems kind of dead. On Gab and on the Fediverse, I get at least as much interaction and usually more. So, that being said, I think Amazon accomplished its job in throwing Parler off the internet and effectively completely killing its business model. So Parler sued in federal court, and the judge was 9,000 years old and appointed by Jimmy Carter, literally appointed to the bench before I was born, and decided, no, there's no real harm for Parler if they're not put back on the internet by a court order right away, so they can just go F off and die. That'll be perfect. So that's what the judge did. Judge refused to grant the temporary injunction and killed Parler. So Parler was supposed to respond to something from Amazon. They were going to amend their complaint. They're going to amend their complaint. And then instead of amending their complaint, what they did was they folded the lawsuit. And they filed instead in Seattle or in Wisconsin or whatever, in state court. Wisconsin, Washington. Oh my God. Filed in King County, Washington, which I believe is Seattle. And they filed there in state court. And they said, aha, we'll get Amazon here. Amazon did about the dirtiest trick you could pull. And they did a what's called a snap removal, and they removed it back to federal court. They removed it back to federal court based on diversity jurisdiction, and in pretty clear violation of not necessarily a rule of civil procedure, but yes, a rule of civil procedure and a federal statute. So, but the way that removal works is removal happens and then you have to fight the removal. And it's a big mess. So we're going to go through what happened with that removal and why they did it. And then we're going to go through Parler's response to it, which is pretty interesting and enlightening. And it's a mess. It's a real mess, actually. So here we go. So this is the defendants, Amazon's notice of removal. Now you have to understand, Amazon is a business in Washington state. Removing to federal court is something that they're not really supposed to be able to do because they're in the state court. So to remove it to federal court where they had a favorable judge is basically forum shopping. Parler actually has a reason that they have put forth as to why they moved to state court or why they folded the lawsuit and refiled in state court. Something they have a right to do, by the way. There are state court claims. These are not federal claims. And if the proper jurisdiction is in state court, they should be fighting it there. They have the right to do that. But Alicia Hart, yes, I can see your comment. So defendants Amazon Web Services and Amazon Incorporated removed this case originally filed in the Superior Court of the State of Washington for King County under case number 21-2-02856-6 SEA to the United States District Court for the Western District of Washington at Seattle. Defendants removed this case pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1332, 1441, and 1446 on the grounds described below. Introduction. Parler's state court complaint is an extreme attempt to forum shop. Kind of. But it's also the appropriate forum, and federal court is the inappropriate forum, as we will find out. After suffering an unequivocal defeat on its motion for a preliminary injunction before this court, and then agreeing to amend its federal court complaint, Parler instead dismissed the federal complaint and filed a new complaint in state court involving the same nucleus of facts. This gamesmanship is nothing more than a transparent effort to evade this court's dim view of the merits of Parler's claims. But Parler's scheme is futile. The parties are diverse. The amount in controversy exceeds $75,000, and thus defendants filed this notice of removal of this case back to federal court. Trump Willis is my name, says if you only read the 48 pages. It's just 8 pages. Can you say the gamer word at the end of each sentence, please? It would make for a great show, and I would respect you forever for showing how freedom is supposed to work. No. I can't do that, unfortunately, because that would be the last show I ever get to do. Parler initially filed this suit. It filed suit in this court on January 11th, 2021. Attached as Exhibit 1 is a true and correct copy of the complaint in that action. On January 21st, 2021, Judge Rothstein denied Parler's motion for preliminary injunction, finding Parler had failed to show a likelihood of prevailing on its claims, including its claim that Amazon Web Services breached the party's contract by allegedly terminating the contract without sufficient notice. In particular, the court found that Parler had not denied it was in violation of its agreement with Amazon Web Services, which was not true. I don't think. I mean, they kind of did, but not expressly enough, and had failed to demonstrate the likelihood that Amazon breached the CSA because the evidence at this point suggests that Amazon's termination was in response to Parler's material breach. Now, their state court case laid out the claim much better than their federal case. They clearly went back and retooled the case for the state court filing, and that is, it lays it out much better. Their federal case filing was weak. It should have been a better filing, but they were also under the gun on time. They were trying to get an immediate injunction. They needed things done. So there are reasons, but there's always reasons behind these things in legal battles generally, but those reasons don't matter a whole hill of beans when you're actually losing the case. Parler has not served defendants in the state action. Remember this line, because this is where Amazon is asshole. After receiving the order denying its request for preliminary injunction, Parler informed Amazon that it intended to amend the federal complaint. Parler asked Amazon to stipulate to allow Parler to file the amendment by February 16th, and accordingly, Amazon agreed not to respond to the federal complaint. Stipulation was entered January 28th. On February 15th, Parler's counsel contacted Amazon's counsel asking for additional time to file its amended complaint. Amazon agreed, and Parler and Amazon stipulated that Parler would file the amended complaint by March 2nd. On March 2nd, 2021, Parler filed a lawsuit based on the same facts and alleging at least one of the same claims in King County Superior Court. Attached as Exhibit 5 is a true and correct copy of the state complaint. In the state complaint, Parler asserts that as a result of the unlawful actions of Amazon and Amazon Web Services, Parler has permanently lost hundreds of millions of dollars in annual advertising revenue, among other damages, and also demands treble damages and attorney's fees on several of its claims. Defendants are entitled to remove this action under 28 U.S.C. 1332 because complete diversity of citizenship exists and the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. So then U.S.C. 1446A requires a short and plain statement on the grounds for removal. Now, interestingly, this is not true, as we will see in Parler's lawsuit, or in Parler's response. Diversity jurisdiction exists. Complete diversity exists. This case satisfies a complete diversity requirement. A person's state of domicile determines his or her state citizenship. Under 28 U.S.C. 1332, a corporation shall be deemed to be a citizen of every state by which it has been incorporated and of the state where it has its principal place of business. A corporation's principal place of business is where a corporation's officers direct, control, and coordinate the corporation's activities, which is generally the place where the corporation maintains its headquarters. Parler is a Nevada limited liability corporation with its principal place of business in Henderson, Nevada. Parler, therefore, is a citizen of Nevada. Defendants are incorporated in Delaware with their principal places of business in Seattle, Washington. Because defendants are not citizens of the same state as Parler, the parties are completely diverse. Because defendants have not been served in the state action, 28 U.S.C. 1441b2 does not bar removal. Notice all these citations? They know they've got a problem here that Parler's going to address. We're going to get to it in just a couple minutes. Plaintiffs demand more than $75,000. The state complaint avoids specifying a damage amount, but the allegations make clear the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. In evaluating the amount in controversy, a court considers the reality of what is at stake in the litigation using reasonable assumptions underlying the defendant's theory of damages exposure. Under Local Rule 101A, where the complaint does not set forth the dollar amount prayed for, a removal petition shall set forth the reasons which cause petitioners to have a good faith belief that the plaintiff is seeking damages in excess of the jurisdictional amount of this court. As the Supreme Court has held, a defendant's notice of removal need include only a plausible allegation that the amount in controversy exceeds the jurisdictional threshold. It is facially apparent from the state complaint that Parler is seeking damages in excess of $75,000 because Parler alleges that millions of dollars are at stake. For example, state complaint alleges, as a result of the unlawful actions of Amazon, Parler has permanently lost tens of millions of current and prospective future users, many of whom have migrated to other platforms, and hundreds of millions of dollars in annual advertising revenue. Parler therefore brings a suit for multiple violations of Washington's contract, tort, unfair competition, and consumer protection laws. Amazon's unfair and deceptive acts and practices have resulted in substantial damages to Parler, including but not limited to the loss of millions of dollars of revenue from advertisements. Amazon caused severe economic injury to Parler by depriving it of millions of dollars of advertising revenues and making it extremely difficult for Parler to get back online with another service provider, which injury Amazon Web Services knew would occur given the reputational injury Parler has suffered at Amazon's hands. And as we've all discussed, Parler's dead. And they are entitled to millions of dollars if they can show that it's Amazon's fault. The amount in controversy includes the amount of damages in dispute as well as attorney's fees if authorized by statute. Treble damages are also considered. The state complaint seeks damages, including trebled and exemplary damages in an amount to be determined at trial, in addition to attorney's fees and costs. State complaint, page 65. The state complaint includes 15 separate causes of action, including 6 under the Washington Consumer Protection Act, which provides for treble damages and attorney's fees and costs to a prevailing plaintiff. Thus, the state complaint alleges Amazon caused millions of dollars in damage and requests that the court treble those damages and award statutory attorney's fees, which exceeds $75,000. Removal is timely. Parler filed the state complaint on March 2nd, 2021. The notice of removal is timely filed. This action is properly removed to the Seattle District Division of the Western District of Washington under LCR 3, Local Court Rule 3E. Cases where the claims arose in King County are properly removed to Seattle. Parler elected to file this action in King County. For these reasons, defendants have properly removed this case to the Seattle Division. Defendant has satisfied the remaining procedural requirements. United States District Court for the Western District of Washington is a federal judicial district embracing the superior courts of King County where Parler filed the state action. Copy of the state complaint is attached as Exhibit 5. Defendants separately will file a verification of the state court records under LCR 101C. Promptly after filing this notice of removal, defendants will give written notice to Parler's counsel and will file a copy of this notice with the clerk of King County Superior Court. Pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1446D, a true and correct copy of the notice of filing a notice of removal is attached as Exhibit 6. And no waiver. Defendants have additional defenses to this action and do not waive any of the defenses. The defendants therefore give notice that the above entitled action is removed from the court, State Court of Washington, to King County, to the United States District Court for the Western District of Washington at Seattle. Whew! That's that. Okay. That's the boring stuff. Now on to the juicier response from Parler. Now, Parler had filed an original motion for remand back to the state court, and then they have amended it. I've not grabbed the original because I didn't want to read both of them. The amended one is the live pleading. The amended one is the live pleading. I need some whiskey. All right, we got some scotch. Parler's valued at $1 billion? I'm shocked. All right. So if you kind of zoned out through Amazon's document there, what's basically going on, Parler wants to sue Amazon in state court for many reasons. One of those reasons is that the federal court was an absolute catch you next Tuesday to Parler in their lawsuit and completely ignored reality in her denial of a preliminary injunction. And the denial of the preliminary injunction absolutely killed Parler's business. Like, think about this. All the judge had to do was give Parler the 30 days that Amazon promises in its contract. That's all the judge had to do. That wouldn't have harmed Amazon. Parler would have still had to pay Amazon. All they had to do is give them 30 days that they were promised in the actual contract that they have with Amazon. That's all they needed. And if they would have gotten that, they would have had 30 days to migrate their data. They wouldn't have had the same level of trouble getting a new process, getting a new backbone or whatever host, and they could have just carried on. They could have been Parler. Everything would have been fine. And in fact, that might have mooted the lawsuit entirely. It would have severely crippled Parler's ability to proceed, because it would have just likely axed most of the damages. But the judge, who again is 9,000 years old, was like, no, that would be too harmful to Amazon. I'm sorry, what? So, Parler wants to sue Amazon in state court. Amazon says, no, no, no. We're going back to federal court, even though it's our home state court that you brought us to. It's our home state, but we're going back to federal court because Amazon wants to go back to the judge. Amazon wanted to go back to the same court. They don't actually want a judge who understands tech happening across this case. That would be devastating for Amazon. Okay, so here we go. So this is Parler's amended motion for remand. Now, remand would send it back to the state court from federal court. Introduction. This case should be remanded immediately for 3 independent reasons. First, the court lacks jurisdiction because every party is a citizen of Delaware. Dun, dun, dun. Defendants Amazon and Amazon Web Services are incorporated in Delaware, making them Delaware citizens. And defendant's removal notice wrongly claims that Parler is a citizen of Nevada because Parler is a Nevada limited liability corporation with its principal place of business in Henderson, Nevada. Under settled law, an LLC is a citizen of every state of which its owners and members are citizens. That's Johnson versus Columbia Properties Anchorage. I don't know. Ninth Circuit. I gotta see this. I'm gonna just take a look and see if this case is still good law, because that's amazing if it's true. Changing this. Federal. Let's see, what is that? That's Johnson v. Columbia Properties Anchorage. Here it is. Poor Alaska's stuck in the Ninth Circuit. Okay, this is... What was disagreed with here? Let's see. I'm going to read through this holding here. We'll pull this up. Whee! Here's Westlaw. All right. Columbia is a limited partnership in which two partners are limited liability companies or LLCs. Cool. Because a partnership is a citizen of all the states in which its partners are citizens, Johnson's motion to remand a state court for lack of diversity jurisdiction turns on the citizenship of the two LLCs. The citizenship of an LLC for purposes of diversity jurisdiction poses a question of first impression in the circuit. The federal court's basic diversity jurisdiction extends to all civil actions, where the matter in controversy exceeds 75,000, blah, 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 blah. In cases where entities rather than individuals are litigants, diversity jurisdiction depends on the forum of the entity. For example, an unincorporated association, such as a partnership, has the citizenship of all of its members. By contrast, a corporation is a citizen only of the the state where its principal place of business is located, and two, the state in which it is incorporated. LLCs are not corporations, they're limited liability companies. LLCs resemble both partnerships and corporations. Notwithstanding LLCs' corporate traits, however, every circuit that has addressed the question treats them like partnerships for the purposes of diversity jurisdiction. This treatment accords with the Supreme Court's consistent refusal to extend the corporate citizenship rule to non-corporate entities, including those that share some of the characteristics of corporations. This treatment is also consistent with the common law presumption that unincorporated associations are not legal entities independent of their members. We therefore join our sister circuits and hold that, like a partnership, an LLC is a citizen of every state of which its owners and members are citizens. Well, there you go. It's plain as day right there in the case law. So I just wanted to make sure that was still good law. Here we go. And one of Parler's members is a Delaware citizen. Parler Corporate Disclosure Statement, docket number 15. Thus, the lack of complete diversity, the only ground on which defendants removed, necessitates remand. Further, because defendants lack the requisite objectively reasonable basis for removing, Parler is entitled to attorney's fees. Ooh. When the parties met and conferred regarding this defect in defendants' removal, defendants were unable to articulate a reasonable basis for diversity jurisdiction, yet they still failed to stipulate to remand. So they met and conferred. They met with Amazon. They said, hey, actually, just so you know, we're also Delaware citizens. So now you guys need to stipulate to a remand. We'll go back to state court and fight this out like honorable Spurgs. Let's do it. And Amazon said no, but they couldn't say why. And we saw their motion. Their motion is predicated entirely on this diversity jurisdiction. So they have now Amazon saying we get Parler saying we get attorney's fees also because they're unreasonable in this. They should agree that it needs to go back. You have to go back. Parler certifies that it has met and conferred in accordance with this court's standing order. Second, the way defendants removed the case through a snap removal has been deemed controversial and has been rejected by the majority view among federal circuits. Plaintiff requests that this court reach the same conclusion here and order immediate remand. Third, Amazon's removal was contrary to its own customer agreement under which plaintiff's contract claim arises. This contract vests exclusive jurisdiction in state or federal courts in King County, leaving it to the plaintiff to decide whether to file in state court or federal court. Under well-established precedent, Amazon cannot trump plaintiff's decision through removal. In the alternative, if the court does not order remand, then it should dismiss the case without prejudice so that plaintiff can be free to refile in state court. Which would be funny because then you'd wonder if Amazon would move for removal again. Factual and procedural background. Plaintiff Parler LLC originally brought both federal and state-based claims against Amazon in this court. Parler retained Angelo Calfo as new Washington counsel on February 13th. From then until March 2nd, Parler's legal team analyzed Parler's potential claims and eventually determined that it would be appropriate to focus on state-based claims and remedies in Washington state court using state procedures. The Amazon Web Service Customer Agreement, which is the subject of Parler's breach of contract claim, provides that contractual disputes shall be resolved in the exclusive jurisdiction of either the state or federal courts in King County, Washington. Consistent with that provision, on March 2nd, at 4:27 p.m., Parler filed a complaint in the Superior Court of the state of Washington for King County, bringing solely Washington state-based claims against Amazon Web Services and Amazon.com, Inc. Both defendants acknowledged in the removal notice filed in this action that they are residents of Washington in addition to being citizens of Delaware. It was not possible, however, to serve the state complaint on the defendants contemporaneously with the filing because the defendant's registered agent closed at 3 p.m. Accordingly, plaintiff's counsel made arrangements with the process server on March 2nd to have the state complaint and summons served on the defendants early on March 3rd. A few hours after filing the state complaint, at approximately 11:02 p.m., Parler also voluntarily dismissed its federal action without prejudice under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 41A1AI, filing a notice to that effect in this court. As a courtesy, David Grosbeck, counsel of record for Parler, emailed Ambika Duran, counsel for Amazon, to notify her that Parler had withdrawn its federal action and initiated its state action. At the start of business on March 3rd, plaintiff's counsel coordinated with their process server, sending them the finalized summons and state complaint that morning for immediate service. On March 3rd, Parler's process server successfully effected service on both defendants. However, having been notified that Parler's service of the state complaint was imminent, and in a transparent attempt to remove before plaintiff would have a reasonable amount of time to serve the complaint, defendants filed a notice of removal on March 3rd at 1:46 p.m., approximately 24 minutes before the state complaint was served. That removal notice incorrectly stated that Parler is a citizen of Nevada and that complete diversity consequently exists. The following day, Parler filed a motion to remand. That motion primarily addressed the improprieties of defendant's SNAP removal. It did not address defendant's claims to diversity jurisdiction, as Parler's counsel were still researching Amazon's claims regarding diversity jurisdiction. After filing its initial motion to remand, Parler's counsel completed their legal and factual research into citizenship of its members. Parler's research, which should have been performed by defendants prior to filing their removal notice, confirmed Parler was a Delaware citizen and the parties lacked diversity. Accordingly, Parler arranged for a meet and confer with defense counsel to determine the basis of their removal notice's assertion that Parler was a Nevada citizen. During the conference, defense counsel acknowledged that the removal notice inaccurately stated Parler's citizenship. However, defense counsel refused to state what due diligence they had performed prior to making that inaccurate assertion. Parler requested that defendants stipulate to immediate remand, but defendants did not do so. Because defendants failed to do so, Parler now files this amended motion to remand. Okay, so if you didn't catch that, Amazon knew that Parler was going to serve them, and then they immediately filed notice of removal. That's the SNAP removal they're talking about, and then tried to say that because they did the removal prior to being served, they're not bound by a certain federal statute. I know it's kind of thick and legalese, but it's a really shady move. They removed it within a day of service, or within a day of the lawsuit being filed prior to them being served. They had not received the lawsuit yet. By the way, we are close to 1,000 likes already. Thank you. We're at 944. Still watching to see if they go down. I'm getting less and less of a fan of this Benahabanain. So I'm going to switch this Old Forester. Oh, hey, we got over 1,000 likes. Now we'll have to watch for removal of the likes. Thank you. Much appreciated. I'm glad you guys like to support alcoholism. It's very encouraging. I'm not saying that, Neff. That looks like moon runes to me. I don't have any sake. You cannot get good sake around Minnesota, or around my area of Minnesota. They talk about anti-Asian discrimination. It's happening right here in my small town. All right. Whew. Legal standard. It is axiomatic that defendants may remove an action on the basis of diversity, citizenship, only if there is complete diversity between all named plaintiffs and all named defendants, and no defendant is a citizen of the forum state. Further, notice this part. This part's really, really important, and I didn't see them complaining a lot about this, but that's a pretty big part of it. And no defendant is a citizen of the forum state. Amazon is a citizen of Washington state. They don't really argue about this too much from what I've seen. Maybe I didn't read it completely. I think I read through most of it though. But that's the big problem. Or one of the big problems. I mean, first of all, yeah, they lack diversity because Parler is also a Delaware citizen, but also Amazon is a citizen of the forum state. So it's pretty hard to say they can remove it if they can't. Further, the plaintiff is the master of his complaint. Accordingly, federal court should apply a strong presumption against removal jurisdiction, which means that the defendant always has the burden of establishing that removal is proper, and the court resolves all ambiguity in favor of remand to state court. Argument: this case should be remanded to the Superior Court of King County, Washington, for 3 reasons. First, because all parties are citizens of Delaware, no diversity jurisdiction exists. Diversity was the only basis on which defendants removed this to federal court. Second, as recognized in numerous decisions, Amazon's snap removal strategy is an improper form of gamesmanship that is contrary to the text, purpose, and effect of 28 U.S.C. 1441b2. Third, the forum selection clause in Amazon's customer agreement with Parler forecloses defendant's removal strategy. Finally, in the event the court declines to order remand, plaintiff requests the court dismiss the case without prejudice so that plaintiff can refile in state court. By the way, what about this one? What about that the defendant is a citizen of the forum state? How did they miss this? If you remember, when I talked about this case, the state court claims, I mentioned that. I was like, aha, Amazon won't be able to go to Fed court because Amazon's a citizen of Washington. Why aren't they arguing that? It makes me very sad. Lack of complete diversity deprives the court of jurisdiction. Complete diversity of citizenship is required for the court to retain jurisdiction over this action. Under Section 1332, a corporation shall be deemed to be a citizen of every state by which it has been incorporated and of the state wherein it has its principal place of business. Both defendants, AWS and Amazon, are incorporated in Delaware and their principal place of business is in Washington. Accordingly, they're citizens of both Washington and Delaware. Further, Parler is a limited liability company, and an LLC is a citizen of every state in which its owners and members are citizens. As Parler's corporate disclosure statement shows, and regarding which the defendants were put on notice, one of Parler's members is NDM Ascendant LLC, a Delaware corporation. In turn, NDM Ascendant LLC's citizenship is determined by the citizenship of its members, which include the Rebecca Mercer 2020 Irrevocable Trust, which was formed under the laws of Delaware. And for diversity purposes, the citizenship of a trust is similarly determined by the citizenship of its trustees. So, we get a real attenuated citizenship here. The Rebecca Mercer 2020 Irrevocable Trust is a member of NDM Ascendant LLC, which makes it a Delaware citizen. And since that is one of the owners of Parler, it is also a citizen of Delaware. Good job. Very weird. As Parler's corporate disclosure statement makes clear, one of the trustees of the trust is the J.P. Morgan Trust Company of Delaware, a company headquartered and incorporated in Delaware, making it a citizen of Delaware. So it's not even that. It's not even that the trust is. The trustee is, so the trust is, so the LLC is, so the other LLC is. Beautiful. Beautiful. Siren Jack, no member of Parler is a citizen of Washington state. It's not Parler that's the defendant here. It's Amazon who's the defendant. And Amazon is definitely a citizen of Washington state, so they shouldn't be able to remand. And I don't know why they didn't include that argument. By the way, the rule also says if they're a citizen of the forum state, they can't remove to federal court. But, whatever. In sum, at the time this action was commenced, and now, the trust was a Delaware citizen, which made NDM Ascendant LLC a Delaware citizen, which in turn made Parler a Delaware citizen. The jurisdiction of the court depends upon the state of things at the time the action brought. Since Delaware is a common state of citizenship between Parler and the defendants, complete diversity is absent and the court lacks jurisdiction. This court should therefore remand the case. If at any time before final judgment it appears that the district court lacks subject matter jurisdiction, this case shall be remanded. The court should also award attorney's fees and costs to Parler for defendants' improper removal. An order remanding the case may require payment of just costs and any actual expenses, including attorney's fees incurred as a result of the removal. Such fees may be awarded when the removing party lacks an objectively reasonable basis for removal. Recent cases establish that this is true here. For example, in a case very similar to this one, this court found that the case is improperly removed on the basis of diversity jurisdiction where the parties are not completely diverse. Given that the plaintiff was a resident of Nevada and a defendant, as an LLC, was a resident of Nevada and Washington because its members are citizens of both states. So, without complete diversity, and thus no basis for removal jurisdiction, the court remanded the case to King County Superior Court. Additionally, the court awarded fees under 28 U.S.C. 1447C because defendants had initiated removal based on diversity and the LLC defendant knew or should have known that its citizenship was based on its members and that diversity did not exist. As such, it did not have an objectively reasonable basis for removing the case to federal court. So too here. Certainly, defendants were on notice as of January 11, 2021, when Parler filed its corporate disclosure statement in the previous related federal action, which stated that a Parler member was a Delaware corporation. Now, they say this, and this is true, but at the same time, Parler didn't even know it was a Delaware corporation. So, while that's true, this is the first time Parler has asserted itself as a citizen of Delaware and even mentioned in its amended complaint, or in its initial filing against the snap removal, they still hadn't completed their own due diligence to find out where they were a citizen of. So that's kind of funny. That's kind of a knock against the attorney's fees. It's not a knock against the jurisdictional argument. Jurisdictional argument, look, it's not up to a court. Courts can't be like, well, but we want diversity jurisdiction, so we're going to take it. That would be a messy thing for a court to do. But here, you know, they could remand, but they could say, you know what? Amazon did its due diligence. Even you dummies didn't know you were Delaware corporation or Delaware citizen until this filing, which is amended from the other filing in which you didn't mention it, and you didn't mention it in your complaint. So, you know, we'll have to see how that pans out. I could see that being a mitigating factor for the judge on attorney's fees. However, on the citizenship issue, this should be remanded. Worse, even after Parler filed its updated corporate disclosure statement in this case, and even after defendants failed to identify any objectively reasonable basis for their decision to remove during the parties' meet and confer, defendants still refused to stipulate to remand. Defendants' haste in seeking snap removal, combined with their subsequent refusal to acknowledge the need for remand, have wasted Parler's resources and this court's time. I agree. We'll see if the judge does. Amazon's snap removal gamesmanship was improper and should be rejected. Moreover, Amazon's snap removal gamesmanship should be rejected. Parler's new state complaint alleges only claims arising under Washington state and local law, and both defendants reside in Washington. Nevertheless, within 24 hours of Parler filing suit in the state court, Amazon sought to reverse Parler's choice of forum by removing the case to federal court based on diversity, with full knowledge that defendants were about to be served. This court should reject Amazon's gamesmanship and remand the case. This court should reject Amazon's exercise of snap removal. So here's a controversial practice where you remove right away before the defendant has an opportunity to serve you, or the plaintiff, I should say. Under federal law, a civil action otherwise... someone said, Jason Stevens says, you'd think Amazon would have diversity and jurisdiction experts on staff. They do. And they're going to reject and fight against Parler's argument here. Ultimately, they probably know they're going to lose this, but they're going to put up enough of a fight and make the assertion that they're their assessment was reasonable, their request for removal was reasonable, and really hammer on the judge that they're trying to forum shop in the hopes that the judge will not issue attorney's fees on it. Jane Doe says, any update on the Suffer Not the Pedo merch? I would also like it in pink, please, to match my pink anti-MLM spring merch. No pedos, no scammy businesses for me. Lol, I agree. Don't go into the bathroom of the Pump and Munch. Oh, I'm going into the bathroom. I should live stream when I go to the Pump and Munch, right? Like that's the only reasonable thing to do. I think. Is that right? Is that wrong? Live stream my attendance at the Pump and Munch. It'll be very, very exciting. Okay. Even assuming, Okay, under federal law, a civil action otherwise removable solely on the basis of diversity jurisdiction may not be removed if any of the parties in interest properly joined and served as defendants is a citizen of the state in which the action is brought. Okay, so they do make the argument. I missed, it's in a weird spot for the snap removal, in my opinion. It should be up in the citizenship portion of it, but at least they make it here. Yet Amazon and AWS citizens of Washington removed based on diversity. Even assuming, contrary to the facts, that all defendants were diverse from all plaintiffs, the only basis on which Amazon could have tried removal is the underhanded tactic known as snap removal. In a snap removal, the defendant who resides in the pertinent forum, hereinafter a forum defendant, removes the case before being served with the state court complaint. Next, the defendant argues the bar on removal in section 1441b2 does not apply. Okay, so that's where this is. Does not apply because the defendant was not joined and served at the time of removal. Some district and appellate courts and other circuits have allowed parties to play this game, albeit in circumstances distinguishable from those here. We'll read the footnote in a second. Most courts, however, have shut the game down as set forth below. Footnote has some of the cases that are distinguished, but it doesn't. This is a bad footnote. They should say why these cases are distinguishable from the current case. Although plaintiff has not found a case in which this court or the Ninth Circuit directly ruled on whether to allow snap removal, as Judge Robart explained just several months ago, snap removal is a controversial procedural practice that seeks to avoid the forum defendant rule. The Ninth Circuit has not yet determined whether snap removal comports with 28 U.S.C. 1441's requirements, but the majority view among federal circuits is that it does not. That's citing Brewer versus Weyerhaeuser back in July of 2020. Snap removal is a controversial procedure, and its compliance with the removal statute is questionable. Moreover, defendants' position in favor of snap removal appears to be the minority view among the courts that have ruled on the matter. Understandably, numerous courts across the country have correctly condemned the practice of snap removal as gamesmanship. Snap removal allows gamesmanship by defendants who are sophisticated and have sufficient resources or suspicion of impending litigation. And you have to remember, this 8-page document with another 146 pages of attachments was put together in less than 24 hours. I think 20 total hours, including non-working time, with actually about probably 14 hours of that being non-working time. That is a monumentally fast filing. That's why they're saying you have to have significant resources. So you have to get notice of filing of a lawsuit that you haven't been served and write a complicated response with legal arguments, citations, and the proper number of attachments. There were local rules that established all of the things that they had to attach. They had to gather all of that, make their legal arguments, have citations, and churn this thing together in about 6 work hours. That's really fast. That's really fast. I can't even, like, first of all, for reference, getting about an hour a page of legal drafting is pretty good. Like if you're look at how these things are written. Look at how they're probably about 400 words, 440 words. They're double spaced. They're at size 12 or 14 font. They're about 400 words per page. Writing 400 words with appropriate citations and legal arguments, about an hour a page is really good time on that. They filed it's seven pages of filing, 6.5 maybe, 6.5 pages of filing, plus compiling all the other stuff. You have to have significant resources to get it done that fast. Very, very quick. So, like if you have me, right, a sole practitioner, and you call me and say, I need this snap removal done, I would be working overnight to get that done. Amazon's got a corporate structure. They've got corporate attorneys. I mean, they probably did have to burn the midnight oil to do this, but they put together a very good filing. It's not like Amazon's filing was deficient. Their arguments are sound. So pretty amazing what they can do. Okay. To monitor court filings and immediately remove a case before a forum defendant can be served. And remember, you have like 20 days. This statement here, you have a lot of time to serve in court. And this statement is actually taking into account the fact that you typically have like 90 days to serve something. In states where you file and then serve, in Minnesota, it's different. In Minnesota, you don't file the action first, you serve the action first, and that avoids things like this. But in other states, you file the action first and then serve it upon them. And you typically have something like 90 days to make that filing. This statement is talking about having sufficient resources to monitor court filings and immediately remove a case before the defendant can be served, ... within the 90-day service time is the implied in the ... there. Amazon had this done. It's fast to do it in 90 days. That's my point here. How's that? It's fast to do it within the 90-day window. It's exceedingly fast to do it within 22 hours. KCD shouldn't be too hard. Remember, they haven't been served. So they haven't been officially notified of the lawsuit. So they also have to know it got served or it got filed. Like it's really a pretty amazing thing that they've got. But it's Amazon, right? Would you expect anything less from like one of the biggest companies on the planet? No, but it's showing the disparity in legal power that exists out there. And it's something to bear in mind when anybody says just sue the big tech companies or whatever. You are up against a monolithic machine. A monolithic machine. Can you explain removal a bit better? Snap removal a bit better? Sure. Okay, so removal to federal court based on diversity jurisdiction is a normal process. Snap removal is an adaptation of the process which tries to skirt this law. Let's pull up the law. I think that'll help. It's 28 USC 1441. So here we go. 28 USC 1441. Removal of civil actions. Snap removal is a colloquial term for it, but here we go. Let's read through this. Here's the claim. Here's the snap removal we're talking about, okay? So, generally, except as otherwise expressly provided by act of Congress, any civil action brought in a state court of which the district courts of the United States have original jurisdiction, so that would be that diversity of citizenship thing, may be or a federal question, may be removed by the defendant or the defendants to the district court of the United States for the district and division embracing the place where such an action is pending. So removal based on diversity of citizenship. So remember, you got federal law claims and diversity of citizenship. That's the original jurisdiction of federal courts. State courts are not to deal with federal claims. Federal courts can deal with state court claims if there is an underlying jurisdiction that they have and they apply state law, but they do it in the federal court. Okay. So, removal based on diversity of citizenship. In determining whether a civil action is removable on the basis of jurisdiction under diversity of citizenship, the citizenship of defendants sued under fictitious names shall be disregarded. So you don't get to use John Doe's. That doesn't count. That being said, a civil action otherwise removable solely on the basis of the jurisdiction under diversity of citizenship may not be removed if any of the parties in interest properly joined and served as defendants is a citizen of the state in which such action is brought. So the snap removal comes in prior to served as defendants. So they're going to argue, hey, we weren't served, so we can do removal based on diversity jurisdiction. But that is a bad reading. That is a bad reading because this is joined and served as defendants. Okay? Joinder is what I think Ken Paxton should do against Twitter, right? Joinder is this idea that you sue me, but I say I'm not the only party who's related to the nexus of events that you're bringing a lawsuit about. Like you're suing me for my tweets, and I say, no. Twitter is responsible for my tweets for some reason. I want to join Twitter to this lawsuit as a defendant because they are at least partially responsible and they need to answer for this claim as much as I need to answer. That's joinder, okay? So that's joinder of parties. So in this thing, what they're talking about, with the way this law is written, they're talking about joined and served. So they're talking about when there are additional parties to the action that are joined and served who then defeat diversity jurisdiction, once that happens, you can no longer remove. However, if you don't know of Joinder sounds like a dating app. I'm going to make a dating app for lawyers called Joinder. No, if you don't, it'll be the least successful dating app in history because they'll all get divorced all the time. There'll be prenups everywhere. If you don't know about another party, right? Like they serve you, you say, hey, there's diversity of citizenship here. There may be another party that can be joined to the lawsuit that would defeat that diversity, but you don't know about it yet. So you go, look, why is this brought in state court? I'm going to remove this to federal court. That's the proper use of this. Then they join and serve some defendant other than you that would defeat diversity. Now, this is what happened basically to Alex Jones. Alex Jones in Connecticut is in Connecticut rather than federal court because he interviewed some guy whose driver that day was a resident of Connecticut, not the guy he interviewed, importantly. And they found that the driver was an agent of the guy because he drove him. This is really, really out there law that is also, in my opinion, completely effing wrong. And Alex Jones is getting hosed over it. But they said, okay, Alex Jones can be sued in state court because the guy he interviewed is also a party and that guy's driver is from Connecticut. Therefore, we now have no diversity of parties, which is a crazy, crazy interpretation of the law, but that's how they do it. If Alex Jones would have filed for removal prior to that guy that he interviewed being named and joined as a party and served, he could have done this. It's not supposed to be used for the defendant. Okay? And you say, how is that even legal? It shouldn't be. It's legal because the court in Connecticut really wanted Alex Jones in Connecticut, and the federal court really hated Alex Jones. That's why. Make no mistake, courts do take those sorts of things into consideration. And when you are an Alex Jones type person, like you are going to get the raw end of the shaft in court. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. Okay. So I hope that explains the SNAP removal. It's not regular removal because it happens prior to the defendants being served at all. And it's trying to read loosely the language of that bill, but that statute. That statute is supposed to apply to joined parties, not primary defendants. All right. Defendant's position. Yeah, we read that. Understandably, numerous courts across the country have correctly condemned the practice of snap removal as gamesmanship. Snap removal allows gamesmanship by defendants. Oh, I read all this. Courts repeatedly have explained that snap removal uniquely undermines the purpose of the forum defendant rule and contravenes the removal standard. Snap removal also produces absurd results because it deprives plaintiffs of the ability to choose the forum based solely on whether a defendant can draft a removal notice more quickly than a process server can serve papers. That is especially true where, as here, the removing party is a forum defendant rather than a non-forum defendant. Even in a district where non-forum defendants were allowed to do snap removal, allowing a forum defendant to engage in snap removal reaches an untenable result. This is from Fifth Circuit, Northern District of Texas. This case starkly illustrates the perverseness of snap removal. Amazon and its subsidiary, both forum defendants, were advised of the state court complaint through a courtesy email from defense counsel. Amazon then took advantage of that courtesy to file a notice of removal less than 24 hours later, just 24 minutes before the state court complaint was served. If these tactics were to provide a basis for removal in this court, it would not only undermine basic fairness to plaintiffs who bring claims in Washington, but also would penalize parties and their counsel for being professional and respectful towards adverse parties. Even more importantly, it would eviscerate the purpose of 1441b2 by allowing forum defendants like Amazon to remove in nearly every case filed by a non-forum plaintiff in which Amazon learns about the complaint, either through professional courtesies or simply by monitoring electronic court dockets before it is formally joined and served in state court. And if anybody could do this, like Amazon could follow every electronic docket in the country for a minimal cost. For you or me or anybody else you know to monitor every single electronic court docket in the country, it would be a massive undertaking. We couldn't assign a small team of imported programmers to create an algorithm to, do every 3-minute check of every court filing database and then have subscriptions to the ones that require paid subscriptions at a minimal cost for Amazon. For a person, that would cost a ton of money. The court should reject Amazon's snap removal tactic, protect the right of plaintiffs to file their state law claims in state court, and remand this case to the Superior Court for King County, Washington. Commonly adopted exceptions to snap removal also require a remand. Moreover, even in districts where the practice of snap removal has been partially tolerated, courts have carefully crafted exceptions in order to uphold the purposes of Section 1441b2 and provide basic fairness for plaintiffs who sought to file in state court. The courts have adopted at least 2 such exceptions, each of which is an independently sufficient basis to reject snap removal and order remand. In fact, this particular case is so stark that both exceptions apply. Removal is premature prior to service on at least one defendant. Even in districts where snap removal has been sometimes allowed, numerous courts have interpreted Section 1441b2 as foreclosing such removal until the plaintiff has already served at least one defendant, presumably a non-forum defendant, prior to removal. In other words, if a defendant tries to exercise a snap removal before any defendants are served, the removal is premature and remand is required. That's citing Wells Fargo Bank versus Old Republic Title Insurance Group. Defendant's removal was procedurally defective because defendant removed this action before any defendants were served. And Bowman versus PHH Mortgage Corporation. Notice you're not seeing individual defendants here. These are large companies. Holding that snap removal is improper unless and until at least one non-forum defendant has been served. This is so for at least 2 reasons. First, to the extent any snap removal is to be allowed, this approach better comports with Section 1441b2's text and purpose than one permitting snap removal without prior service to any defendants. The word any in any parties in interest properly joined and served necessarily means that the removal statute assumes at least one party has been served. Because no defendant has been served prior to defendant's removal, this case must be remanded. Second, courts have recognized that this approach serves important policy objectives. As one court pithily observed, precluding removal until at least one defendant has been served protects against docket trolls with quick finger on the trigger of removal. Likewise, the removal statute's purpose is better served by precluding removal until at least one defendant has been served. That way, plaintiffs legitimately seeking to join a forum defendant face the modest burden of serving that defendant before any others. In this case, Amazon's notice of removal acknowledges that no defendants were served before Amazon was removed. Accordingly, even if snap removal could be allowed in some circumstances, here it doubtless was premature and inappropriate. On this basis alone, the court can and should order remand. If it does, it need not weigh in on whether snap removal might be allowable under other circumstances. This is a great sentence to have in this case. This is a great sentence. This is saying, look, you may not want to set precedent here. You may not want to spark a controversial, ruling on whether snap removal is appropriate in the Ninth Circuit. We get that. You don't even have to, buddy. Just go ahead and rule on it on these grounds, and then you don't even have to make a statement overall on whether snap removal is appropriate in the Ninth Circuit. Just go ahead. Just make the ruling. Just make the ruling. Everybody will be fine. This is good stuff. Good stuff. Holding that at least one defendant must be served prior to snap removal. Where no defendants have been served, removal is improper, and the court need not decide whether snap removals are generally allowable. And this, importantly, is also from the Ninth Circuit. So this is a good ruling for them. Snap removal is premature until plaintiff has a reasonable opportunity to serve the state court complaint. Courts have also rejected snap removal in cases where the defendant removed so quickly that it prevented the plaintiff from having a reasonable opportunity to serve the forum defendant with the state court complaint. Whereas here, defendant files a notice of removal before the plaintiff has a reasonable opportunity to effectuate service of process, and the forum defendants were not added to prevent removal, the forum defendant rule precludes removal to federal court. Where the facts show the forum defendant is not a sham party and that the removing defendant is attempting snap removal before the plaintiff has a reasonable opportunity to serve the forum defendant, courts do not countenance the absurd results flowing therefrom. Authorizing remand under such circumstances is consistent with the purpose of 1441B, explained in Lively versus Wild Oats Markets. Rejecting snap removal 4 days after filing. 4 days after filing. And holding that the snap removal exception applies only if plaintiffs did not have a reasonable opportunity to serve the forum defendant before a defendant removed this action. In this case, plaintiff was not able to serve Amazon the day it filed the complaint in state court because Amazon's registered agent closed before the complaint was filed. Nevertheless, plaintiff set the process server in motion the next morning and served the state court complaint on both defendants less than 24 hours after filing the complaint. The facts speak for themselves. Once defendants received the notice of the state court complaint from plaintiff's counsel, defendants rushed to file their notice of removal with the transparent purpose of beating the plaintiff to the punch. The court in Woods found that a window of 4 days was not sufficient time to give a plaintiff a reasonable opportunity to effectuate service. Surely then the same is true of the 22-hour window afforded to plaintiff in this case. Removal was also improper under Amazon's own forum selection clause. You object Nick has not had enough whiskey yet? Okay, I'll drink more. Amazon's removal was also improper for another reason. More specific to the facts here. That's a weird thing to say. A party to a contract with a forum selection clause that permits litigation in state court must respect that choice when made by the filing party. Because plaintiff commenced this suit in state court and defendant consented to that court's exclusive jurisdiction, removal is improper. The court finds the forum selection clause at issue in this case precludes removal once an action was filed in an appropriate forum. The instant suit was filed in California Superior Court for the County of Santa Clara, one of the courts to whose exclusive jurisdiction and venue defendant agreed to. By consenting to the jurisdiction of the state court, the defendant is deemed to have waived its rights to remove. I'm going to stop reading all these citations. This is a good argument. Here, the customer agreement provides that disputes will be adjudicated in the governing courts, later defined as the state or federal courts in King County, Washington. The contract provides for exclusive jurisdiction and venue in such courts. In light of that language, Amazon Web Services cannot seek removal after Parler chose to file in state court. Defendant waived its right to remove from state court because it consented irrevocably to the exclusive jurisdiction of California courts. Removal would also be improper even without the exclusive jurisdiction language because the forum selection clause allows a plaintiff to sue in either jurisdiction. It was up to Parler as plaintiff to determine where to sue, and Parler chose to bring a suit in state court, a venue to which Amazon had consented through the forum selection clause of the customer agreement. For this independent reason, the court should remand. But remember, while this is a great argument, remember, this court flatly ignored the plain language of Amazon's contract in its prior decision. So who knows what stupidity they will come up with here? Who knows? Great job, federal court. Fucking stupid old judge needs to find a grave and claim it. Whoa, did I say? Sorry, didn't mean to say that out loud. Eagle Loan says riots are riots and looting is looting. Don't sugarcoat that shit. Who's sugarcoating it? In the alternative, the court should dismiss without prejudice. Blah blah blah. I'm tired of reading this document. You guys get it. They should say, look, if you want to ignore all of the law on removal, then you should dismiss the claim. Just dismiss it without prejudice for us, and we'll refile with more clarity in state court. Conclusion: for these reasons, this court should remand plaintiff's complaint to the Superior Court for King County, Washington, or in the alternative, dismiss a complaint without prejudice. Let's make fun of Legal Eagle in just a second. I sent myself some stories that I wanted to talk about. I've got a very sad story. Are you guys ready? Can you handle a very sad story with me? This video is 10 minutes. I don't know if we're going to watch all 10 minutes or not, but it's 10 minutes long and it's very, very important and a very sad story. I would read you the article, but they didn't write an article for it. They just gave me a sad video. Are you ready for the sad video? Now, I've got to preface this video for you guys. Okay? This is really, really important. This is a man who is subjected to unnecessary brutality. That brutality that he was subjected to improperly, if I may, threw a city into turmoil. It caused the deaths of at least 2 people. 2 beautiful butterflies. It caused property damage on unforeseeable levels. It tore a city and a nation apart. And the effects of it are still being felt to this day. This is a city a situation in which a man was subjected to the unreasonable use of force by law enforcement, and we are going to hear his story, and I want you to know that everything he says needs to be through the lens that he is a victim and that there was no possible justification for the victimhood that he is under. Are you ready for this? Jacob Blake tells his story after being shot 7 times by police. That's right. That's right, you racist audience who doesn't understand that a convicted felon with a restraining order who's in the process of improperly kidnapping children and carrying a knife and entering a vehicle against the lawful orders of police was shot unjustly 7 times and lived. He's going to tell his story. Are you ready? Are you ready? Listen to the music. It was 1 second and I'm already dying. Boom.
Felt like I was dying. I was counting down the breaths. I was awoke the whole time.
What are breaths?
It was the moment Jacob Blake thought he was about to die.
I was counting.
You know why all those people are screaming, by the way? They're screaming because a man is taking children he doesn't have a right to take with a restraining order against taking those children, and he has a goddamn knife in his hand. That's why they're screaming. That's why they're screaming. And he's getting into a car while the cops are like, stop, stop, do not go. You are not free to leave. You are to stop, cease.
Down my breaths and my blinks because I was just staring right at the sky, watching the clouds.
Watching the
I
clouds.
was like, God, I'm coming. I guess this is it for me, but it wasn't.
The 29-year-old speaking out for the first time almost 5 months after being shot 7 times by police. You didn't resist.
I resisted to getting beat
Whoever this host is has a terrible lisp.
on.
I was resistant to getting beat on. They were trying to use non-lethal force against you while you were committing a crime, you dumb motherfucker. What is wrong with you?
What I mean by
Is that Michael Strahan? Watch out. When he opens his mouth, the gap between his teeth forces the air through it and you can get sucked in. Careful. Careful.
that is not falling, not letting them put their head on my neck. That's all I was.
If you don't know, these cops in Kenosha, Wisconsin had advanced long past putting knees on their neck like pleb tier Minneapolis police. Listen, Chauvin, you chump, you and your weak ass knee on neck method. We have developed a new Shaolin technique. We put our heads on the neck. They actually do a vertical headstand on the necks of people who are detained, and that is how they kill them in Wisconsin. They are clearly the superior school of Kung Fu.
I was thinking, honestly.
Blake is now partially paralyzed from the waist down. A moment captured by bystanders, eventually going viral.
Show the body cam footage where you can see the knife in his hand.
The encounter marking the climax of a summer rocked by a reckoning.
Say her name!
Protesters adding the name Jacob Blake to their rallying cry, joining those of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor.
Look, I mean, there are all sorts of discussions to be had against George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, but at least you can go, okay, I don't agree with these people, but I can see how in their perspective they get to injustice. Jacob Blake was not unjust. It was one of the most justified shootings we've had in a while. This guy is entering a car, fleeing a place. He has a protective order against what he's doing, and he's armed, which he can't be while having a protective order. This is crazy town.
With call for action echoing across America.
Call for action echoing across America.
From celebrities to athletes.
We are scared as black people.
Oh, look, you're right. From the wizened, hollowed minds of celebrities all the fucking way down the spectrum to athletes. Oh, if that's not a hollowed legacy of scholarship, I don't know what is. Jesus Christ. People whose publicists make up their own minds for them.
Activists demanding justice for the ever-growing list of black victims shot by police.
I didn't want to be the next George Floyd.
Hey, Jacob, where was your hands up, don't shoot? Oh, that's right. In the same place that its fictitious roots originated. Michael Brown's. Neither of you put your hands up and said, don't shoot. Neither of you did. It was all a fucking lie. It was a complete AstroTurf lie, you lying sack of shit.
Boy, I didn't want to die.
In the moments before, on a hot summer day in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Blake had been celebrating his son Israel's birthday at the home of his son's mother, LaQuisha Booker.
He turned 8 years old that day. I'm cooking, just chilling, neighbors out.
Oh, okay.
And ended up being an argument between my woman and the neighbor. I wanted to leave.
Booker didn't want him to leave with her rental car and called the police.
Don't steal my car. Like, listen to how they're framing this. Booker didn't want him to leave with her rental car. Stealing a car. That's theft. You can't have that. That's my rental car. You're not an authorized driver. I am not authorizing you to take it. Booker didn't want her to leave with her rental car. Yeah, that's because it's a fucking crime.
Today is his son's birthday, so I allowed him to spend a couple hours with him, but he's not giving me the keys to this rental, and that's all I'm asking for.
3 officers responded to what they thought was, quote, family trouble. Among them, 7-year veteran.
That is family trouble. That's a domestic right there. That's a domestic issue that they have to deal with. It's a dispute between 2 people who are in enough of a relationship to label it a domestic. It's not unreasonable for cops thinking they're responding to quote unquote family trouble. But that family trouble, by the way, also includes holding a spouse with a knife to their neck. Like, family trouble encompasses a pretty wide range of activities and in many cases is extremely dire.
Officer Rustin Shesky.
Complainant says Jacob Blake isn't supposed to be there, and he took the complainant's keys and is refusing to give them back.
Yeah, that's a felony. That's constructive theft of a motor vehicle, by the way. Probably falls under the felony grand theft auto statute in Wisconsin. If I had to guess, I haven't researched it, but typically stealing the keys to something is constructive theft of the property itself.
She decided that she didn't want me to take her car, the rental car.
Yeah.
I'm explaining to her, my truck is in the shop.
Look, I'm explaining it to her. I'm explaining to her that my truck is in the shop, so I got to take your rental car. Look, when someone comes up to your car and they hold you at gunpoint and they say, hey, get out the car. I need to take this. My truck's in the shop. I'm telling you, bro, my truck's in the shop. You gotta give me your car. You better give it up. Look, because he explained it to you. He told you what happened. This is your guy. This is your goddamn guy. Ugh. Eric Garner. Not Mike Brown. Not this guy. Really not George Floyd. Eric Garner. Maybe Breonna Taylor, although there's some real questions about Breonna Taylor. To me, Eric Garner is one of the most egregious race-adjacent police killings that exist, because the crime he's being accused of is selling loose cigarettes. The amount of resistance he put up was barely anything at all. The guy grabbed for his arm and he kind of reflexively pulls away, and then he's immediately in a chokehold and he ends up dying. And I think that was a tragedy. I don't think the guy wanted to kill him. He's one of the best examples of this type of stuff. He's a very good poster boy for the movement. Jacob Blake is stealing a car and he's not supposed to be there in the first place. Come on now. Stop it.
So I decided.
Philando Castile's another one. Philando Castile's another one where that cop, whatever that cop's issue was, again, I don't have any evidence that cop was racist. I know people who know the cop who shot Philando Castile. They say he's a really nice guy. He's a family man. He doesn't have that animus in him. I'm not saying that cop shooting Philando Castile was racist in any way. Whatever was going on in that guy's head, he shouldn't have been making that stop at that time. He was not equipped to make that stop at that time. You can tell He approached that car in the wrong way. Even his partner, like looking back, is like that. He was not in the right headspace for it. That's another one. That's another good sort of poster child for these sort of things we want. But it's not, to me, it's not about race. It's really not. It's about how police interact with people. And in Philando Castile's case, that's another tragedy where the cop was not in the right headspace to be making a stop. He was nervous, he was afraid, and it was evident immediately. And he reacted accordingly, and someone died because of it. There are good examples of questions where we get to say, hey, we need to assess police interactions with civilians and try and refine them and make them better. Then there's a bunch of bullshit that is politicized that is not good. Jacob Blake is the poster child for the absolute opposite. He got exactly what was coming to him. I don't want anybody to get shot. I don't want anybody to get killed. This guy, they made the right decisions shooting him. He's lucky he's not dead because by all rights, he should be.
Not to give her the keys. It was in her name.
On the way to the scene, officers are told there's a warrant for Blake on domestic violence offenses and sexual assault.
Oh, okay. So he's got felony warrants for domestic violence offenses and sexual assault. Okay.
We have an alert at this address for 99 for that subject.
What are you doing when they show up?
At that time, I'm walking out. I hadn't done it.
No, what are you doing there at all, you dumbass? There's a warrant out for your arrest and you're trying to steal a car? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Anything, so I didn't feel like they were there for me.
Records show that Officer Shesky recalls telling Blake, quote, "Let's talk about this."
Let's talk about this. Look, if you guys need to test out an airplane's aerodynamics, you can just fit it in the gap between Michael Strahan's fucking front teeth.
As Blake places one of the kids in the car, he then tells Blake he has a warrant and tries to arrest him.
They didn't say why they were there?
They don't have to
say anything to me.
Did they tell you that they had a warrant for your arrest?
No, I thought that it had been over with.
I thought that it had been over with. Well, I'm sorry. Did you go to court for the alleged crimes that you clearly knew about it, right? He clearly knew about the outstanding warrants because he thought that had been over with. So he knows what's going on. What are you talking about? Strahan, get some integrity. What are you talking about with this man? Wait. So you thought they had been over with. That means you were aware of your outstanding warrants for criminal sexual conduct and domestic violence? Well, but you knew about them, right? Like, because you thought they had been over with, so you previously knew about them, right? Ask a damn question.
Police deploy a stun gun multiple times. Blake pulls the prongs out of his skin. Officer Shesky and Blake end up in a physical altercation on the ground.
Look, if you get in a fight with a cop, you're getting arrested, even if you're right. What are you? No, I'm just going to walk away, fam. I just got in a fight with a cop, a physical altercation on the ground. Like, you got in a fight with a cop. You're going to jail. There's no way around it. Look, I challenge any one of you I'm not challenging you to get in a fight. Who does get in a fight with a cop to try and not go to jail and see what happens? You're going to get your ass kicked again, maybe shot, and maybe go to a fucking morgue instead of jail. Look, you got in a fight with a peace officer. On its face, that's a felony in every single state. Only all of them. You're going to jail. Whether or not you win is a different question. I mean, maybe you have some justification. Maybe they were using excessive force, whatever it is. You're going to jail, though, because they have a probable cause case that you committed felony assault against a peace officer, period.
We see you walk away from the officers after they try to grab you.
At that point, I'm rattled.
Look, if a cop tries to grab you, you're under arrest. You're under arrest. At that, look, it may not be just. I'm with you. Brothers in arms, fight the machine, fight the power. But if a cop tries to stop you, you are, for the purposes of the law, under arrest. And you are not free to go. That's why they grabbed you. You're not free to go.
You know, I realized I had dropped my knife.
Look, I realized I dropped my knife.
Pocket knife.
I was in a... Can you believe what's happening here? Michael Strahan is listening to this man say, I was in an altercation with a cop. I got up to walk away, and then I realized I dropped my knife. You're in an altercation with a cop and you're armed with a knife? You're going to prison forever. What are you talking about? These cops should have shot him 20 minutes ago. They should go back in time and shoot him before anything happened.
So I picked it up after I got off of him.
Pro tip. If you've just been in a fight with a cop and you realize you dropped your knife that you had in the fight with the cop, don't go get it. Don't go grab the weapon while you've just been in a fight with a cop. What is happening? Put this man in prison forever. If any of you did this, you would be dead or in prison for probably 10 years or more. What the hell? Don't pick up the knife.
Because they tased me and I fell on top of him. Kids was in there, probably face on the window. I'm about to get in here and check on my kids.
Look, guys. Look, okay, we've had a nice fight where I'm armed with a knife and I dropped it. Let me just pick up this knife. Now it's really important for me to go check on my kids. That's all I'm trying. Look, I just want to check on my kids with a knife in my hand after I fought with cops while their mom is in the house right there or probably in the yard at this point and can easily take care of your kids. What the fuck are you? What is...
In the video, you hear them saying, drop the knife. I think a couple people were saying that, but I didn't hear none of that.
You don't need to hear drop the knife. You're just in a fight with cops. Drop the knife without being prompted. That's a good rule of thumb. What are you doing?
Blake turns away from the officers and walks around the front of the vehicle towards the driver's side door.
What are you thinking at that point?
I had picked my knife up. I'm like, I'm not really worried. I'm walking away from them, so
I'm not really worried. I'm walking towards stealing this car with kids inside of it with a knife. I'm not worried about them.
It's not like they're going to shoot me. I shouldn't have picked it up. At that time, I wasn't thinking clearly.
You said that we can just look at the video. The video tells everything. Well,
The video tells everything. You're right. It tells the tale of several felony criminal acts.
There are going to be a lot of people who look at the video and say, in the video, you're walking away from the police. So why didn't he just stop and do what the police are asking him to do?
I couldn't hear that.
Oh, God, come on.
All I heard was screaming. My ears was ringing, so it was all muffled.
Yeah, you know what? Usually, after I get done fighting cops and then picking up my knife and walking away, I can't hear either. And I know, based on experience, that after all of my fighting with cops and having a weapon during those fights, what typically happens is they just let you walk away and get in the car and go. That's the normal thing for cops to do in this situation.
If the police were fighting me, if they were tasing me, I would stop walking away from them and they would have my attention.
And when they tased me, I had my hands up. So,
Michael Strahan, out of nowhere with the 3-point shot or whatever it is, says the only reasonable thing he said so far is if they tased me, they'd have my attention. Well, I fucking hope so. I hope they'd have your attention if they tased you. And this guy's like, what? But when they tased me, I had my hands up, so. And and
Officer Shetsky's attorney insists, quote, the officers were compelled to use force once Blake began actively resisting their verbal commands, adding that the claim the officers didn't say anything to him during the altercation is, quote, preposterous. As Blake opens the door of the car, Officer Shetsky claims Blake
it's not even like he called it a pocket knife. This is a weapon knife, right? This is a great knife because you could put a finger through that loop at the bottom of it and it's hard for someone to disarm you. It's not like he had a little Swiss Army knife. This is a knife for self-defense or for or for offense. Whatever. It's a baby karambit. Yeah, karambit is the type of knife. I mean, this is absurdity at its fucking highest.
Drove the knife toward his body. Blake denies this. Officer Shetsky then grabs Blake by the back of his shirt and shoots him 7 times.
put my hands up because I didn't want him to shoot me in my face or in my head or nothing. So at that time, I put my...
What? Look, I didn't want him to shoot me in my face, so I put my hands up. Apparently, this guy doesn't understand how bullets work. Don't shoot me in the face. I'll block it with my hands. It's fine. What? What is happening? Okay, hold on. I got to tweet this out. Live tweet this. Jacob Blake is the dumbest criminal, or no, dumbest asshole on the planet, comma, just watch this interview with Goalposts Strahan. It's amazing. This guy should be in prison, and he's very lucky he's not justifiably dead. There we go. That tweet needed to happen. Sorry. Sometimes tweets need to happen in real time. That one needed to happen.
arms up, man. He just kept shooting.
What's going through your mind?
My babies are right here. My babies.
What's going through his mind, thankfully for him, is not bullets. Everything else is irrelevant at this point.
So after he stopped shooting me, I said, Daddy, love you, no matter what. It was the last thing I said to them at that point. I thought it was going to be the last. I thought it was going to be the last thing I say to them.
Yeah, I get it. That's sad. But dude, bro, you put those kids in danger, man. You endangered the kids. They weren't safe with you. You're stealing a vehicle. You've got a weapon. You've got felony warrants out for your arrest. You're fighting with cops. and you're resisting all of their commands, verbal and physical. Man, you tried to kill your kids. That is grade F in dad school. That is beta bitch behavior. That is not how you dad, you fucking disgrace of a human. Pretending now to be worried about his kids. Were you worried about the kids before or after you were holding a knife fighting with a cop? Trump Willis is my name, says, dude, next time Drex is on the show, I need you to ask him about black privilege, please, because this proves it for me. I'm white. If I did this, I would have been dead before the first punch. I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that statement, but man, this guy, because this, again, I don't think this is about race in before or after the incident. I mean, the protests and stuff about it were made about race, sure. The cops' actions here aren't based on race. Either way, the cops don't want to kill people most of the time. They gave this guy every opportunity, and I am not so cynical as to think that cops just don't want to be a headline. Look, I think most cops are just human. They don't want to kill another person.
Thank God it wasn't.
According to records released by the Wisconsin Criminal Investigation, in the past, Blake was arrested for attempting to flee police and for resisting arrest.
You don't say.
These charges were dropped.
There are critics who are going to say, well, he's had run-in with the law in the past. He doesn't deserve any sympathy.
Oh, here we have premium race pimp Ben Crump. Ben Crump is out there making a fortune. Like, you think that Black Lives Matter lady buying a $1.4 million mansion in LA is a race hustler? You haven't seen nothing till you've met attorney Ben Crump. This dude is cashing those checks hardcore.
If you're a black person in America and you're not perfect, then they say, oh, it was justified. It's like our children have to be angels.
No, that, first of all, that's generally not true. But even accepting the premise that it is true, it's definitely not true here. This wasn't not perfect. This was felony behavior.
Days after the video was posted, voices calling for justice grew louder.
Based on ignorance and bad information from people like you, Strahan.
The city of Kenosha enraged. By day, peaceful demonstrations calling for the officers to be held accountable.
Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this. You know, like those medieval depictions of muttons that you get in video games where it's like, you see this giant like slab of meat, this big round cone of meat around a bone. You're like, that looks delicious. Never look at them the same again, because look at these fucking hawks. That's Amberlynn feed, baby.
This country is kind of like a box of matches right now, and we're just the match that got lit.
By night,
some matches got lit in all these cars.
Parts of the city brought down in flames. The riots turning deadly when armed vigilantes clashed with protesters.
We're protecting from the citizens, and I just got pepper sprayed by a person in the crowd.
During the unrest,
now they're gonna try and make Kyle Rittenhouse look like the criminal, as opposed to Jacob Blake, who was the criminal. This is amazing.
Kyle Rittenhouse, who was 17 at the time, shot 3 people. 2 later died. He was arrested the next day and charged with multiple counts of homicide. He has pled not guilty to all.
Oh, notice they don't show him actually taking the shots when people are actively hitting him.
All the charges, claiming he acted in self-defense.
This doesn't look like self-defense to me. I don't know. This looks like Kyle here on the ground under the skateboard and the arm here. He looks like he's on offense here. That's what it looks like to me.
But now Rittenhouse, who's currently free on a $2 million bond, is making headlines yet again. Prosecutors are seeking to amend the conditions of his bond after images and videos surfaced last week. The photos show the 18-year-old flashing signs associated with white supremacy.
This is 6 hours ago. This wasn't last week. This was weeks ago. This is not racist. This means okay. That's all it's ever meant. You dumb motherfuckers who got taken in by a 4chan meme. I mean, try not to drink toxic waste, I guess. I don't know what other advice to give you. You got taken in by a meme. Some people said, haha, we'll make something innocuous into a race symbol by talking about it online. And you dummies listened. That's not racism. It has nothing to do with race at all. It's literally just an okay sign. This is not racist. This doesn't mean anything other than I'm okay. Okay. People have been using it for decades. It's part of the common American parlance. That's it. It's a recognized hand gesture that, believe it or not, was not exclusively used by white people and has nothing to do with white versus black people.
And being serenaded with a song allegedly associated with the far-right group, the Proud Boys. His attorney denies any
Serenaded with a song. Oh, so that was Kyle's choice, apparently.
Association with these groups. Many are comparing the treatment of Rittenhouse's arrest with Blake's.
17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse. He is a
Notice what he's not doing. He's not fighting a cop. He didn't resist a lawful order. In fact, they told him to go home, so he did.
accused of killing two people at a protest over your case. And he walks past cops. He has an assault rifle. Have you seen that video?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When you see that, what is your thoughts when you see something like that happen?
Again, it wasn't a surprise to me. It was devastating.
Why? It's unrelated to you in any way. He doesn't have a warrant. He's not stealing a car. He's not fighting with cops. He's not holding a knife while fighting with cops. He's not picking up a knife while walking away from cops. He hadn't been tased. He hadn't been asked to stop. He tried to turn himself in, and they told him to go home. It's the literal exact opposite of your situation.
I mean...
Say it.
He's white.
Yeah, that's the fucking difference. Jesus Christ, this country is hopeless.
The difference.
There are two justice systems that govern America, one for black America and one for white America.
Let's take a pause here and remember that the guy who is on camera committing at least 3 felony offenses with warrants for 2 more is the guy not on trial, and he's black. And the guy who is on trial is Kyle Rittenhouse, who in a clear exercise of self-defense shot 3 people who were actively assaulting him without provocation. This is phenomenally ridiculous. Yeah, there is a different justice system based on these 2 cases. I would contest that there really, isn't. Sure, there are one-offs here and there, but if you're gonna make these 2 cases your posters for the difference between white and black, think about your argument. Is Jacob Blake even charged with a crime? Jacob Blake reaches plea deal in domestic case on November 7th. Jacob Blake has pled guilty to 2 counts of disorderly conduct and domestic abuse, while a 3rd-degree sexual assault charge was dismissed. According to the minutes filed in Kenosha County Court, he had been accused of unlawfully entering a home on May 3rd and sexually assaulting a woman in her bedroom before leaving with her vehicle. Oh, so he's got a pattern of taking women's cars, apparently, according to the criminal complaint obtained by CNN. A trial had been initially set for November 9th. Judge Bruce Schrader ordered Blake's sentence to be withheld and that he be placed on probation for 2 years. And make no mistake, that plea deal is entirely because this motherfucker got shot. Entirely because the defense attorneys were like, oh, baby, we've got a protest going on. We've got everything. You want this to go away as fast as possible. We can make that happen for you. Come on, girl. We'll make it go away, girl. Don't even worry about it, girl. We'll make it go away. Just don't talk. Just don't talk about us. Yeah, there's 2 different justice systems. That's for sure. Really what's going on. There's the justice system of the chosen oppressed who happen to be fortunate enough. And I'm not talking about people as a race. I'm talking about specific cases where circumstances allow for a completely ridiculous result like Jacob Blake got. That is, like, think about, he's accused of entering a home and raping someone and then stealing their car. And he gets probation? That's a fucking great plea deal. If I could get that plea deal for one of my clients in that same situation, I would be the best attorney ever. Like, that is a phenomenal deal. It is the worst case I can think of for a parallel justice system. Oh my God. Random Blaze says, never mind that cops cap 2 times more white people than blacks. Never mind that cops cap more Hispanics than blacks. Let's just harp on the one race we can focus more news stories on and drum up more hatred. It sells. Trump Willis is my name, says Nick. This video is from January 14th, 2021. The mainstream is pushing this old interview back to the top for dubious reasons. And yes, cops avoid shooting blacks. You can see that by FBI stats. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you can see this is posted 6 hours ago. I didn't know. I'm sorry if this is an old story. It got fed to me by Microsoft News, and it was posted 6 hours ago. I don't know why it's presenting it as new, but there's that. Either way, still,
which says, well, black people shoot first, ask questions later.
Last week, the
shoot first. They asked questions first. They tased him first. They physically tried to restrain him first. Then they shot after asking him to stop verbally. That wasn't first. That was fifth.
Prosecutor declined to press charges.
No Kenosha law enforcement officer in this case will be charged with any criminal offense.
He said Officer Shesky was justified in his use of force because Blake was armed with a knife, refused orders to drop it. Officer Shesky's attorney, in a statement, insists that, quote, race had absolutely nothing to do with the officer's actions. Blake was given every opportunity to comply with the officers, and he repeatedly chose not to.
Yeah, it's pretty clear from video.
Shesky and the 2 other officers involved in the shooting remain on paid administrative leave. What did you...
Shesky, this is probably why this video is up there. Shesky returned to duty today. He returned to duty today.
Expect when you knew that the decision was coming up on if they were going to file charges or not?
I knew they were engaging in the intellectual justification of discrimination. As Martin Luther King said in the letter from the Birmingham jail, just because you say it's legal, that don't make it right.
This was the most right shooting I've seen in forever.
I mean, Black Lives Matter, America, and we keep giving you exhibit after exhibit after exhibit. Yeah.
This is not a good exhibit. Irrespective of any other exhibits, this is a terrible exhibit.
You continue to tell us that we're not worthy of equal justice.
Blake and his attorney said they plan to file a civil suit against the Kenosha Police Department. Almost 5
I wonder how that's going.
months after the incident, Blake says he is now focusing on healing.
Unfortunately, I need help all day. My mom, she's helping me get in and out of the bed. She helps me do a lot of stuff. It's changed 100%.
And we know your kids who are in the car. Have you had any conversations with them about this since it all happened?
When they seen me, they couldn't believe I was alive. My 8-year-old was just staring at me, you know. I've explained to him and broke it down to him, like, Daddy can die, but for some reason I didn't that day.
Okay. I guess. Let's see if we can get the Jacob Blake civil suit. Filed it on March 25th. Yeah, he's going to, if they settle that suit, I'm going to be pissed. Let's see. Jacob Blake excessive force lawsuit. It was just filed, so we're not talking about a long time here. That's the most recent news on it. Let's see. If I really hope they do not settle that one out. Just go ahead and win. That was completely justified. It's plainly apparent. Ugh. Yeah, that's about it. I guess let's let me take a peek at this legal document real quick. Because it's kind of funny. I can take this off. So this was filed just 2 days ago. It's only 3 pages, so it's not a super long document. Oh my goodness. Taser resigned. Yes, she did. She resigned today. And she should. She shouldn't be in the field. Shouldn't be in the field at all. Again, another case where I don't think that had anything to do with race, and I think that had everything to do with that female cop was just did something really stupid. I don't think Legal Eagle gets mad at me for making fun of him. I don't think Legal Eagle knows I exist. All right. Here we go. Zach Morgan, don't feel bad for liking Legal Eagle. Some of his early stuff where he was like breaking down movies and stuff like that was fine. Is fine. I mean, I found it to be kind of just vanilla, dull content personally, but you know, there's nothing wrong with liking a little 8-minute chuckle fest at some recognizable piece of property. That's a good thing. That's a fine thing to do. He should have stuck to that. He should have stuck to that. It's not my cup of tea, but lots of people like it. Sleepy Gaunt says, guns pointed at you runs for a knife in car. No, he picked the knife up off the ground outside and was walking with the knife to his car, disobeying police commands, runs toward the car with kids in the vehicle, actively placing his kids in danger. This guy's a POS, in my opinion. Race has nothing to do with it. Yeah, you nailed it. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So here is the document. Legal Eagle. If you don't know, there's someone who is about to produce or to put out a book. They're going to write a tell-all book on Trump. And the White House came out and said, nope, you can't do that. It contains government secrets that are classified and you can't put them in a book. And Legal Eagle's like, hey, Legal Eagles, we have a right to find out what was in that book. I'm going to file a Freedom of Information Act request because they can't keep classified secrets from us. Will you please GoFundMe my whole giant lawsuit for this? We have no idea how much he made. By the way, I'm guessing it was a fortune. A fortune. You have to realize the amount of people, specifically the amount of Democrats that are in Legal Eagle's audience. It is huge. I would bet he made over seven figures on this. So that's just my opinion. He didn't do a GoFundMe, created an independent, non-transparent crowdfund for it. So, no one will ever know how much was raised or where the money's going or any of that because anyway, so he hired a law firm to do it, by the way. He didn't do it. Who's the law firm? Let me check. Let's see. Law firm or the plaintiff is Kelly Bryan McClanahan, National Security Counselors. So what? Hell. Apparently their website doesn't. They don't have a website? Let me see. Hold on. Here it is. Please be patient with our... Oh, here's the website for the law firm that he hired. You notice that there's not one. Please be patient with our construction. National Security Counselors has recently changed internet service providers, and as a result, we are required to rebuild our website. If you need to contact us immediately, please email Kel McClanahan. That's the lawyer in the case. National Security Counselors was founded to further the twin ideals that the public needs to be as informed as possible about what the government does. Board of Advisors. Let's go to the Board of Directors. Kel McClanahan, Bradley Moss. Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure this guy's associated with another giant moron. Pretty sure. Yep. Here it is. He joined the law office of Mark S. Zaid as a law clerk in 2006, where he currently practices as a partner. So he's associated with Zaid. Oh, it's all a fucking sham. Sean here is the information director. Board of Advisors. I wonder if Zaid's on. M.E. Spike Bowman, Neil Puckett, Mark Zaid, Esquire. Oh, if you ever wanted a fucking shit show of a sham of bullshit We've combined forces. Legal Eagle has teamed up with Mark Lazade Esquire to stick it to La Man. What a joke. Oh God. That's it. This is the whole website right here. Probably the entire website and operation is funded entirely by the GoFundMe for this lawsuit. If I had to guess. Oh. All right, here we go. So he filed his Freedom of Information Act request to try and get the confidential information that the White House and the government organization said, this is confidential. You can't actually release it. He lost on some of the issues. He did not lose on all of the issues. He lost on some of the issues. They said the organizations that you're trying to sue are purely advisory organizations. They are not active organizations of the government that do something. You cannot get Freedom of Information requests through for an advisory board because their job is to candidly advise the president or some other governing body. So what they don't want is you to say, oh, there was a conversation between the president and his private advisors. We want that information. Well, no, because they might be advising the president on things that are of national security import or whatever, and they need to give candid advice that the public doesn't necessarily need because that advice is not a policy. That advice is not law. That advice has no impact from the advice itself on the actual lives of people. So they're not entitled to know what happens behind those closed doors. Now, if a president were to take that advice and implement a policy through the executive branch, those executive branch policy actions would be subject to the Freedom of Information Act, right? That makes sense. We get to know what actually takes place that has the effect of law or policy on our lives. We don't get to know all of the questions about what those policies should be because they need to be able to candidly advise whoever they're advising without it. It's similar to how attorney-client privilege works in a way. Like you're not entitled to the information about what an attorney and a client talk about. However, you are entitled to information in the results of what they talk about when they actually file something. So let's say they file a motion. Well, you're entitled to the text of the motion, the legal reasoning behind it, all of that stuff. You're not entitled to their discussions about that motion because those discussions don't have any legal effect on you. The thing that has a legal operative effect, that's where you attach your right to know what's going on. So that's a way to think about it. That's a way to think about it that is maybe a nice analogy for people. So anyway, he lost because some of these organizations are not in any way active arms of the government. They are advisory organizations, and there's a whole lot of case law that says you cannot have these advisory organizations subject to Freedom of Information Act requests. He appealed. He's appealing that decision, and he is asking the court for permission to file an interlocutory appeal. That's an appeal during the pendency of an action. So the case isn't over, so he has to request permission from the court to file an appeal while the case is still going. This is the CIA's opposition to that appeal, okay? I hope that has laid out what's going on adequately. Defendant's opposition to plaintiff's motion for certificate of an interlocutory appeal. Plaintiff has filed a motion for certification of an interlocutory appeal pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1292B and Rule 54B of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, arguing that the court's dismissal of NSC RAISMD involves a controlling question of law as to which there is substantial ground for difference of opinion, and that an immediate appeal from the order may materially advance the ultimate termination of the litigation. Because the motion is without merit, it should be denied. Most fundamentally, there is no, quote, substantial ground for difference of opinion on the question of whether NSC RASMD is an agency subject to FOIA. Indeed, the court's memorandum opinion recognized that Armstrong versus Executive Office of the President answers the question squarely in the negative. The court perceived no invitation in this circuit's binding precedent to reevaluate whether subcomponents of the NSC, the National Security Council, an entity that itself has been found to not exercise any significant non-advisory function, are agencies subject to FOIA. Where two circuit courts have determined that the National Security Council as a whole functions in solely an advisory capacity, any duties the National Security Council assigns to its staff must also be deemed only to advise, because the National Security Council can hardly confer on its staff more authority than it has itself. Plaintiff, this is great. Plaintiff appears to misunderstand the court's point when plaintiff states that the court did not find plaintiff's position lacking in merit, and at least acknowledges that this question has not been specifically contemplated by the D.C. Circuit. In fact, the court made clear that Armstrong and Main Street answer the legal question unequivocally, and it found that plaintiff's position, quote, attempts to evade the key holdings of those cases. The court also noted specifically that Armstrong did consider the National Security Council's role in protecting classified information, and neither plaintiff nor the court cited any authority that actually supported plaintiff's position. Thus, plaintiff's interpretation of National Security Council RASMD's status under FOIA is not, as plaintiff claims, an unsettled question with fair arguments on both sides, but rather a strained legal theory not rooted in the text or analysis of either decision. And this sentence is actually quoting from the opinion of the judge, and unsupported by any cases in this district post-dating Armstrong, also quoted from the memorandum opinion from the judge. Any ground for difference of opinion is far from substantial. Nor would the proposed interlocutory appeal involve a controlling question of law. Because plaintiff cannot show that an incorrect ruling would require reversal or materially alter the course of litigation. In fact, in granting the partial motion to dismiss, the court held in the alternative that the amended complaint failed to state facts sufficient to demonstrate that National Security Council RASMD exercised substantial independent authority from the president. Without any additional factual allegations speaking to the independence of RASMD or the nature of its delegated authority, Legal Eagle fails to allege a plausible claim. That's in the alternative. So they say, not only is this organization not subject to FOIA, they don't even allege a plausible claim if it were subject to FOIA. This alternative holding appears not to form part of plaintiff's requested interlocutory appeal, since plaintiff does not attempt to demonstrate that there is a substantial ground for difference of opinion on the question whether the amended complaint contains sufficient facts. That's a mean sentence. That's a mean sentence. So even if plaintiff somehow convinced the D.C. Circuit to adopt its novel view that this court must conduct an analysis to determine separately if RASMD should be considered an agency under FOIA, this court has already done that analysis based on the allegations in the amended complaint and found it deficient. An interlocutory appeal would thus needlessly drag out these proceedings to little end. The legal question is consequently not controlling, and an interlocutory appeal would not materially advance the ultimate termination of the litigation. The motion should be denied. 3 pages. That's all they deemed necessary to go after Legal Eagle. That's it. They said 3 pages is enough to shut this dummy down. He's filed. Here's this motion. Let's take a look at this. His motion was 8 pages long. Plaintiff Legal Eagle commenced this litigation pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Yeah. 8 pages of motion. Let's take a quick peek. He has amended his complaint, and the CIA has answered it. I wonder how long their answer is. 13 pages. Take a quick look at this. Let's see. The remaining defendants, by and through their undersigned counsel, provide the following answer to plaintiff's amended complaint. The unnumbered introductory paragraph is plaintiff's characterization of this action, to which no response is required. 1. This paragraph contains legal conclusion as to jurisdiction, which no response is required. Legal conclusion as to venue. Without sufficient knowledge to admit or deny. Pertains only to National Security Council records access, which has been dismissed from this suit. Paragraph contains legal conclusions, to which no responses are required. Admit, legal conclusion, admit, legal conclusion, admit, legal conclusion, admit, legal conclusion. Allegations in these paragraphs consist of irrelevant factual assertions, to which no response is required. The allegations in these paragraphs do not set forth a claim for relief or aver facts in support of a claim to which an answer is required. On that basis, deny. First sentence of this paragraph pertains to NSC, which has been dismissed. No response is required. Admit the remainder. Allegations consist of irrelevant factual assertions. No response is required. Defendants are without sufficient information to admit or deny. With respect to the first sentence, admit that the plaintiff submitted a series of FOIA requests in February 2020. The remainder of this sentence consists of plaintiff's characterization of its intentions, which defendants cannot answer. Defendants are without sufficient information to admit or deny what plaintiff reasonably anticipated. Admit that Legal Eagle served FOIA requests on CIA, DOJ, state, and ODNI. Otherwise, deny. So this is how answers look a lot of times. It's just admit or deny. They're just going claim by claim. This complaint had 182 paragraphs. Defendants deny that plaintiffs are entitled to the relief requested in their prayer for relief or to any relief whatsoever. The court has already denied plaintiffs' request for relief as to expedited processing, so no further response is required. Plaintiffs are not entitled to compel production of records protected from disclosure by one or more exemptions to the Freedom of Information Act. Plaintiffs are not eligible or entitled to attorney's fees. The court has already denied plaintiffs' requisite to expedite this action or request to expedite this action pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1657A, so no response is required. Any allegation not specifically responded to is hereby denied. Defendants' actions did not violate FOIA or any other statutory or regulatory provisions. Plaintiffs are not entitled to compel production of records protected from disclosure by one or more exemptions. There you go. That's that. They basically said, this guy's trash. His complaint is trash. Their legal reasoning is trash. Go away. I will rarely ever side with the government on anything, but when it's shitting on Legal Eagle, I am 100% on board. And everybody who donated to that, I am so sorry that guy convinced you that he was entitled to information that the White House deemed classified. And the book itself, by the way, was not released in its original version, at least, because of that classified information. So, good job. Good job. All right. That's enough. That's enough legal talk for today. That's enough legal talk for today. Let's go ahead and read the justice chats and super chats and wrap up the show. That's the right thing to do. And then we'll go over to Twitch for game night. It's a game night tonight. So I haven't seen Icon of Sin in the chat. I don't know if he's here or not, but it is a video game night tonight. So that'll be a good time. Drex has said, these damn kids. Dogsplain says, I mentioned it in the DMs on Discord. Since acronyms are fun, every law enforced by gunpoint always needs 3/4 support in legislative body. It's an elegant solution. So that's every law enforced gunpoint always needs 3. Could probably use a different T though. Qwerty the Kid says, have my Biden bucks. I know you lawyers are going to end up with 3/4 of them anyway. Ooey 99. Thank you for the donation. Satanic Potato says, of course her name is LaQuisha. Why wouldn't it be? Whose name was LaQuisha? Was it Jacob Blake's lady friend? Night of Hope says, N-word, I got to take care of these kids with this knife. Crusader says, prosecutor, Your Honor, I want the address to Kyle's safe house. Judge, no, go fuck yourself. God, that was glorious to behold. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. I'm kind of sad that Kyle's trial is not starting until November because it's like, I want to know. I want them to resolve it. But November, I think November 1st is Kyle Rittenhouse's trial. Night of Hope says, Nick, it's time to give in and embrace cynicism, buddy. I agree that most cop interactions aren't lenient or harsh based on only race, but this justicism is for sure activist, routinely letting criminal minorities off on purpose for politics. I mean, if you say so. The publicized ones for sure, but other ones I don't really think so. Actually, I would say in my experience, in small town Minnesota, it's at least proportional, if not disproportionately, against minorities here. It just is. That doesn't mean black, by the way. Typically it means Hispanic out in this neck of the woods. But yeah. That's based on my personal experience. It's not, that's not subject to a nationwide thing. I do think that in individual jurisdictions, you're going to find different ways in which they treat different races. You're just going to. We can work towards fixing that. That's fine. It's not dire in the way that it's made out to be in public. It's completely different than what is maintained in the press right now. But certainly in certain jurisdictions, you're going to find different things. That's kind of a product of how jurisdictions work, though. So like I said, I'm just saying in my particular jurisdiction, that's what I see. And so I don't want to put a blanket judgment on everybody based on anything. Porsky says, the rapidly devolving race relations in this country that are being propagated by the race pimps and the gullible alike really want to make me brush my teeth with my shotgun that I sadly lost in a boating accident. Don't do that. Oh my goodness, please. Please. This stuff will pass. I mean, you can see how things work in cycles. In fact, notice the amount of mass shootings happening right now. They're way up under Biden than they were under Trump. There are all sorts of factors that figure into this stuff. Don't get stuck. Don't get depressed because of a temporary circumstance. Race relations are at a tense moment under Obama. They're at tense moments during the election years under Trump. Other than that, Black Lives Matter didn't exist in 2017, 2018, or 2019. I want people to remember that. Black Lives Matter was completely irrelevant for 3 straight years under Trump. They were back under Biden, or they were back during the election year, and we'll see if they're back during Biden. They rose to prominence under Obama, who is a race hustler himself, who increased the racial divide in this country rather than fix it. Biden stands to do the same because that profits their policies. So I would just don't get caught up on something that's likely temporary. I mean, it doesn't seem temporary now, but in reality, it really is. These things are not like linear progressions in either direction. Bad Dragonite says, so would you say that Blake's argument doesn't have a leg to stand on? Silky Johnson says, Nick, that Jacob Blake interview was some top-notch propaganda. I mean, it was totally retarded, but the AIDS-riddled Dems probably slurped it up like Soye slurps up man juice since they shot him 7 times. If you collect the bullets, is a dragon summoned? Yes. Judge to Legal Eagle says, out! Back to the 60s! Back! There's no place for you here in the future. Get back while you still can. Bad Dragonite says, they were so disrespectful to Legal Smeagol, they must have watched his channel. Oh, you can bet they did. You can bet they did. Oh, Icon of Sin, you are here. I'm glad. I'm glad. It's video game night, buddy. And despite the fact that I really want to just go to bed, I'm going to play video games just for you. Captain Destin, I don't typically watch Tucker Carlson, so I have no idea. I like Tucker. I find him hilarious, but I don't really watch anything in related to that. What You Missed says, would you drink Vegemite alcohol if someone sent it? That sounds awful. No, please don't. Phantasmagorical says, I ordered a My Rights Don't Care About Your Feelings shirt. Cannot wait to get it. Oh, yeah, cool, man. Or woman. Whatever you may be. I hope you enjoy it. Lil Meme says, wouldn't let me super chat yesterday about how I love memes, but today is a new day and I still really enjoy memes. Breck Nichols says, breaking news, Dallas, Texas, it's not snowing here. Nick, me love you long time. Hey, Breck, how you doing, buddy? Other Breck Nichols, not Breck. We have 2 on the channel. How you doing, man? Stay safe down there in Dallas. By the way, if you're ever north of Dallas, near that Oklahoma border, maybe you're going to the casino or whatever there, that big giant casino. If you're ever there, right across the border in Texas, though, is a fried pies shop. Right when you cross the border from, I think it's at exit 2, something like that. There in Texas, there's a gas station. Right next to it, there's a wooden building, and they sell fried pies. I cannot recommend enough you getting yourself some good old fried pies. I love fried pies. Also, if you're in Dallas, and you like mead, go to the Breaking Brew Meadery. Breaking Brew Meadery. The guy makes a whole bunch of different types of mead. They're really good. Good stuff. Good dude. Good quality person. Scott says, you're little and you look 10. Well, I'm 40 almost. So I guess that's good. And I've never claimed to be big, although I'm probably taller than you think. But I'm a skinny man. Always have been. Nicholas Muse, welcome to Paralegal Status. Thanks for joining the channel. Bad Dragonite says, Legal Eagle won't care anyway. Trump's not in office. Gummy has joined as well. Welcome to Paralegal. Jacob Damstra sent some donations. Thank you so much. I didn't ever see a message attached to that. I hope I didn't miss it, but if I did, I apologize. If YouTube censored you, I'm sorry for that. Super Black Cat 13 says, hey, Nick, when are you going to go undercover like Project Veritas and bring us the juicy details about why YouTube is screwing creators and then grift us about how it's a possible lawsuit? Kermit voice. You said that at the end. The problem with that is the partner managers don't know what YouTube is doing most of the time. Half the time it's me telling them. So there you go. Here's $5. Says, Nick, you should reach out to Gothix. She's great, and I think you two would have fun, engaging conversation for a show. Here's $5. Who the hell's Gothix? Let me see if I can find who's Gothix.
Raise your hand if you've heard.
Okay. She's got 188,000 subscribers. Main video says, are black people ready to talk about race hustlers? I'm not opposed. Looks interesting. Looks like she's interviewed Eric July, Hotep Jesus. Can't. Talks about cancel culture. Let me see. Her videos are killing it. Damn. Good job. I'm not opposed. I don't have a line to them. Gothics is great. So, yeah. I mean, I'm for talking to anybody. I really have been slacking on scheduling interviews lately. Sorry. Samantha Schoner says, a Taco Bell just opened up in my town and the line has been crazy. I went because fake Mexican food is better than no Mexican food. I used to eat the hell out of some Mexican pizzas, man. Black Preacher Kermit. No justice, yeah, no peace. Grab your piece, rape your niece. What the fuck is that? Black Preacher? I don't even know how to do that. Can I get an amen? Yeah. Bad Dragonite says, unrelated to everything, but big shout outs to Sony for putting an expiration date in every PS4 they've put out, apparently. Very cool, guys. Very cool. By the way, Nick, Streets of Rage 4 is getting DLC. You can play as Estel. Oh, no. Oh, no. And Ooey 99 says, Streamlabs nuked my earlier message because I put emojis in it, I think. Just wanted to know when your 24-hour live stream is going to be. I have no idea. Your loyal followers will not allow you to shirk your duty, Mr. Raggets. Believe me, it's on my mind every day. Honestly, I don't know when to do it. I should have never promised it because I just don't know when to do it. Porsky says, I'm not actually gonna. For one, I lost it all in a boating accident. But two, I wanted to throw in a brush my teeth with a shotgun joke. Good. Good. Please don't. Please don't. All right. Bad Dragonite says, no justice, no pause. Prosecute the mods. Biden the Coldman says, down with mods. Scumbuckets. What did the mods do? What did they do? What you Miz says, get Louis Rossman on. Talk about right to repair. Yeah, I'm supposed to do that. Toto Vader says, a good movie about going up against a big legal monolith. Flash of Genius, based on a true story. Guy ruined his life for his day in court. Interesting, never heard of it. Lil Meme says, Jacob Blake always has a comfy chair and with wheels. DCV Titan says, if every last one of these duplicitous criminal idolaters were wiped from the world, would anything of value be lost? Gunnar Renee Oy says, get your suit and powdered wig on for the thumbnails, counselor. Oh, God. Snuggle Struggle says, simple solution to fixing LEO's perceptions to the public along with firearms. Get them back into education. Kids will see police as humans and not just fear them. Teach firearm ethics. Democrats fear this. Yes, I actually agree with that. I agree with that. Paul Diedrich says, common sense is beyond dead. Yep. Kissa My Ass says, new rule on Jacob Blake knife wielding during altercation in your best Bill Maher impression, Nick. God, who listens to Bill Maher? I don't know if I could do a Bill Maher impression. Sorry, I can't even think of how he talks. How about don't wield a knife during an altercation with the police? That's a new rule we should all follow. That's probably a terrible Bill Maher because, again, I don't even know what he sounds like. Super Iron Bob says, Crump is an enemy to everything human. Rob Price, thank you for the donation. Matthew Spriggs says, Little Rock. Little Rock says, has a bad police chief because the new mayor won the runoff on a WCBM issue involving Ben Crump, Blackshire case. Okay. Timothy Reber says, Blake is either really stupid or he thinks everyone else is really stupid. Dang YouTube. He couldn't write stupid. That's amazing. Eric K says, have you heard much about the Dewante Wright situation? Think the cop pulled her gun when meant to pull a taser. Yeah, we covered it yesterday. That cop made a very bad mistake. It resulted in someone dying. That guy led to that mistake, though, and here's the problem with Duante Wright. That cop didn't want to kill that guy, but if the cop had pulled her gun and fired at him, she likely would have been justified anyway. That's a hard reality of that case. It shouldn't have come to that. He shouldn't have died. He should have just been tased or whatever. But he was fleeing unarrested. That's a felony. In a car, imminently dangerous to cops and people around him. Shooting would likely be justified if it was intentional. So she did go ahead and resign, the cop who did it. Big mistake that she made, but I don't think anything's going to come of that. I don't think she's going to be prosecuted. She may even have immunity for it. Jason Stevens says, can you grift a FOIA asking the CIA just how much they think Legal Eagle is clueless? That would be funny, but no. Nick Hex says, any news on Lucas Gerhard? Nope. I haven't talked. I talked to his attorney and he mentioned coming on the show, but I know they've been really, really busy because they're involved in all sorts of stuff. I'll reach back out to him. I really, really want to talk to him. There's no news that's going on with it right now. But it's kind of in a holding pattern as they've sued the prosecutor. I believe they've appealed the dismissal that the judge refused to grant. And so I think it's just kind of waiting on those things. Viden the Cold One says, Nick could pole vault the sun with his nose. Yep. Phantasmagorical says, Nick, I'm a lady, damn it. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad that you are. It's always hard for me to tell on YouTube. I never know. Says Phantasmagorical says, seriously though, I'm a biological female. That's an Edward Scissorhands tattoo in my picture. We're cool. Good. Well, I'm glad you got the shirt. I'm really appreciative that you bought it. I hope you enjoy it. Finally, we've got 3 more Justice Chats. Red Skull Kermit Peterson says, we must secure a future for the white race. Also, wash your balls. Oh, God. That Red Skull Jordan Peterson thing is hilarious because it's backfiring. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a moron and also a giant racist. Angry Baneling says, hi, my name is Nick Ricada, and I lose parts of my soul every time I play Risk of Rain 2. Parts that I'll never get back. I wish I'd listened to Angry Baneling, but I did not. Don't be like me, chat. Nope. Not true. I enjoy Risk of Rain 2 very much, but I'm not playing it tonight. Crusader Saracen says, since the cop resigned, does she lose qualified immunity, or is immunity based on your status at the time of the occurrence? At the time of the occurrence. But good question. And Classical Positioning says, are you able to get additional information on these governors, like the eternally simpworthy Kristi Noem backing down on those female sports bills? I mean, not really. Are you talking about like through freedom of information? I doubt it. She's made public statements about why she backed down and what she did. But there's differences of opinion on that. You know, Drexel wants the trans athletes to be in female sports. He thinks that will accelerate it. So who knows? I don't know. I don't really care. I'm just here to watch the show. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Why don't you come on over? Why don't you come on over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Ricada Law, if you want to join me for some video gaming. I think I'm going to play Dawn of War 1 Dark Crusade tonight. I think that's what we're going to play. And I'll show you why I like that game. I'm not going to play Soulstorm because Soulstorm's a bitch. But I'm going to play Dark Crusade. I'm going to do a really bad job at it, and you guys can make fun of me a lot. It'll be fun. I.S. sent me some yen. Thank you so much for the donation. I really, really appreciate it. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. We'll see you either over on Twitch or I'll see you tomorrow back on YouTube. Have a good night. Make sure you check out the short videos that I upload if they're in your interest area. And by the way, as a huge favor to me, if you like those videos, only if you like them and you find them informative, just drop them on a Facebook or Twitter or whatever link that you got. That really, really helps in ways that you cannot imagine. So thank you so much for doing that. If you do, and if you don't, please consider it. Also, follow on Locals for free to make sure you never miss a notification on a live stream. Have a good night, guys. Peace. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some law-splaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an Ardbeg, a Balmore, a Lafroig. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear law-splaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Doug T to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear law-splaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we